humanity's final hope, but it all ended in betrayal. To wipe out evil, he had to become the nightmare himself. Our legendary hero is officially gone, but 5 years later, the Abyss decides to spit him back out. No glory, no army, just one underrated prisoner. "You're the weakest demon I've ever seen," they laughed. Only one problem, they forgot a single detail. And that's where it gets crazy. The soul in this body is the world's top monster slayer. "Recognize me, you scumbag." Total panic in their eyes says everything. Level 1 doesn't even matter. When you're born an alpha, an entire army is just a feast. Saving the world isn't the plan this time. He's back to dismantle the demons from the inside out. Our hunter is back, but now he's using the power he used to hate. And just like that, he's become the baddest one of them all. The ultimate takedown starts right now. The time has come for the ultimate showdown between humans and demons. And this wild clash is going down right on the back of the massive lunar beast. Through the flashing lightning, the battle hits its breaking point. A bizarre shockwave sweeps across the entire battlefield, signaling the exact moment this fight is officially over. He drops down defeated, but the crew pays a massive price. Stunned by the sight, Aksay and Mezov freeze while Faye cries out. Shufka warns them that healing magic won't work and tells him to stop, because that enemy strike landed perfectly, leaving our boy completely drained. Furious, our guy tells everyone to keep quiet, but his own friend touches his face, asking him to just let it go, telling him that with this outcome, she can finally rest easy. That shatters our hero, reminding him of their promise to all 5, make it back safe. And just like that, everything changed. A voice echoes out saying the villain is still standing. Out of nowhere, energy tentacles blast the crew, revealing the trap. Creepy hands rise from the shadows and start taking over the area. Gron's body starts transforming, but he refuses to give in. Calling this process an evolution, the enemy shapes a massive monster. With one hand reaching for the sky, the terrifying new form is complete. Fully restored, the Emperor claims the heroes belong to him now. He stares down Mezov, stating the strongest warrior will be his key piece. Trapped in the dark, the knight panics and yells for his buddy, except he makes it clear he'd rather fall by Gron's hand than become a weapon. At that moment, Sofka's spirit appears, begging them to block the attack. She rushes our guy, reminding him that Mezov is his only family left. Handing over her own sword, she asks him to stop another tragedy. Mezov notices the trembling blade and questions if the MC has the guts. Gripping the weapon, the hero feels his friend's presence guiding his arm. Amused, the enemy mocks that Gron's right side is already gone. Then Mezov realizes right away that it was never hesitation. In a flash, the blade cuts through the air straight at the target. This warrior viciously strikes the sword right into our MC's chest. Grabbing the hero, the entity claims only someone this lethal deserves the power. He explains his ability gets even stronger with every life taken. Refusing to step back, the knight grips the weapon's hilt with everything he has. Faye freaks out watching this unfold and screams the boss's name. Right behind her, XC begs the kid not to let the sacrifice go to waste. With pure hatred in his eyes, our MC braces for the worst, launching a heavy strike directly into his own body. Instantly, a mark with the number 2 pops up on his face. A fresh, heavy blow sweeps another mysterious silhouette away, revealing the number 3 mark right after as he bites his lip in pain. Consumed by rage, he fights off the mind control amidst a golden glow. That makes the villain laugh, mocking that he only freed one hand. Without a second thought, the MC fires back that one hand is all he needs. And this is where it gets good. He gives up his own arm without even blinking. Yelling loud enough, a massive red energy aura explodes outward. Frustrated, the entity tells the kid to stop pushing his luck. But our boy shatters an invisible barrier with a punch to the air, sealing the deal that the legendary Sala sword is now dust. The creature still acts cocky, claiming no attack in this world can pierce his defense. Suddenly, something bizarre happens and reality itself seems to crack. Gron grabs that being's face and asks if he seriously thought that the MC wouldn't break the weapon, all while taking a hit to his own chest. Right in the middle of the chaos, a giant hand made of spiritual energy shows up. The demon is mind-blown by this madness and yells the hero's name in confusion. No one saw that coming. The final strike shatters reality around them, taking everything down, leaving only a massive dark silhouette against the dawn sky. As he fades away, the scumbag finally admits his mistake of underestimating this born fighter. Our guy stands there alone and battered, regretting he couldn't save his friends. Completely wiped out, he finally drops down, overcome by the damage. And wouldn't you know it, a white armored figure shows up next, staring at him with pity. The story skips 5 years ahead, with demons chatting about their emperor's departure. Down in the swamp, a gang of monsters gathers up for a night event. A scorpion passes the message, confirming he brought the humans for the ritual. Then the boss lady announces it's the anniversary of their master's end. Ready to pay her respects, she orders everything to start and decides to sacrifice the 4 people right there. pouncing with a quick strike against the offering she considers pure. The monster crew gets hyped, watching the chaos unfold, saving the last prisoner for the end, claiming now it's time for demon essence. Except this last guy is our boy, wrapped in bandages and back from the beyond. He wakes up completely lost, trying to figure out where he is and what went down. Confused by the massive claws in front of him, the MC feels weird since he was supposed to be gone. The leader kicks the kid in the face, screaming at him to shut up. Mocking the kid, she rubs it in that he's the weakest demon to ever exist. Man, at this exact moment the MC freezes, realizing he's actually part of the other side now. With a wicked smirk, the beast says becoming an offering is his greatest glory. But alright, as the blade comes down, the kid races his arm on pure instinct. He casually blocks the heavy hit, leaving everybody's jaws on the floor. The impact of that block is so intense it shatters his restraints instantly. Enraged, the mantis screams that he ruined the ceremony. With ridiculous agility, our freed MC vanishes into the darkness. Suspicious, she tries to figure out if all of this was on purpose. He stares the beast down again, calling her trash and asking if she remembers him. The leader freezes cold and starts stuttering the second she recognizes that voice, panicking hard as Gron's face is finally confirmed in the shadows. This cuts to a flashback showing her on a ship fighting a brutal storm. Over there, she was slapping the rowers around, demanding they stay focused. Next, she runs to announce that the four great lords are watching everything, sharing that back in the year 312, the Lin clan tried plotting a sneak attack. The whole crew unleashed a pack of sea monsters to wreck the human defenses. And that's where it gets crazy. Just one guy pulled up on a raft in time to stop that entire fleet, being none other than Gron, the legendary master and ultimate terror of the demons. The Demon King ordered the advance, wanting to crush his opponent with zero mercy. Meanwhile, Gron held a tight grip on his sword hilt, ready to do some damage. Jumping back to that ship in the past, the mantis looked at a deck full of fallen fighters. Wounded, she whined that almost nobody made it out of that wipeout alive, with Gron tearing through the chaos all by himself against a massive monster. Legend says nearly all the kings fell, leaving only the Eternal King standing. The scene closed out with our MC standing tall, battered right in the middle of the lightning. Trembling like a leaf, the leader relived the nightmares of that day. Since their weak spots are the joints, our boy lands a flawless hit. Checking out his new life, he notices his soul looting skill is at level 1. In sheer panic, the Beast's gang charges forward in a pointless attempt. Effortlessly, he blocks the strike from the first guy that steps up. And with one clean move, he wipes the floor with the whole horde at once. Complaining that these guys are weak, he watches his power spike straight to level 9. A weird worm tries hiding behind the others, completely terrified. But trying to move up, the creature gets tangled in some vines along the way. Showing zero mercy, the boss pierces the poor guy with her own blade. Thrown to the ground and howling, the beast begs to be let go. Meanwhile, our MC walks slowly toward the fallen human offerings. He stands there for a long time, just taking in that heavy scene in silence. Then he tries to focus and cast a healing spell right there. Except some scales pop up on his arm and the shock hits him hard. His hand turning into a claw makes reality set in the worst possible way. He stares at the monsters on the ground, telling himself this can't be real. The guy drops to his knees in the blood, completely devastated. Catching him off guard, the MC realizes he reincarnated as a cursed demon. The shame our boy feels right now is just too much to handle. Gritting his teeth, he curses every single part of that filthy race. With a furious roar, he declares their only purpose is falling by his hand. A wave of nausea hits him hard, making him cover his mouth quick. Throwing up right after, he's disgusted to his core by his new body. Furious, the centipede threatens to make the kid scream like a human again. The leader confronts him about the fallen, and the boy replies he doesn't even know why he's there. Thinking he's still a coward, the beast tries to force him to back down. And that's where it gets crazy. Our MC dashes forward with pure hatred on his face. He readies his blade, keeping his eyes locked on the target to finish the job. Thinking about it, if the rule is to keep slicing up this cursed race, then it's all good, and the kid even flashes a creepy smile. While escaping, he reflects on the 5 years he spent knocked out since his defeat. He figures out he needs a safe hideout to understand this messed up world. Climbing up a huge wall, the MC comes face to face with an ancient troll's bones. Amused, he notices the beasts now live glued to that carcass. The whole area got taken over by houses built right on top of the giant's remains. Inside his old cave, he realizes those past memories are still super fresh. This spot was empty, so he quickly turns the hole into a base, lighting a fire right after to beat the night chill and scare off the shadows. Seated near the flames, the kid gets lost in his own head for a bit. The firelight hits his face while he figures out his next moves. Soon after, he starts carving a block of wood with a makeshift knife, bringing back memories of the old crew and the jokes they used to share. That specific memory hits where Faye made fun of his little leaf skirt. Mezov was cracking up while pointing at his ragged outfit back then, and the kid got so annoyed watching everyone laugh their heads off at the situation. Staring at the campfire now, the mood drops into deep sadness. With those new claws, he holds a little figure that looks just like Exa. He places the night piece right next to a carving of himself, uniting the 5 old-school heroes in wood once again. Quietly looking at the figures, our MC sinks completely into those old memories. For him, facing his own miniature brings a bitter taste of regret. The frustration hits so hard that the kid almost bites his own carving, but he quickly changes his mind and tosses the piece straight into the fire. Stays quiet right there, just watching his past version turn to pure ash in the flames. At that exact moment, he decides to use this new body to wipe out their whole race. Except a bizarre headache strikes, bringing up memories from this new host. It shows him getting clowned by the mantis for being way too weak. Things get confusing when another flash shows the original owner working the fields. Switching scenes, some weird teacher wraps up a general knowledge class, and the students ask for a practical lesson, with the MC acting as the master's footstool. Our boy processes the heavy burden of this twisted education. Looking back, weren't a demons supposed to be just a bunch of bloodthirsty weapons? But the truth is, in 5 years this race built roots and even a whole civilization. With the sun coming up, he feels the guilt of not being strong enough back then. Swears to himself he'll surpass his old self and take down every last one of them. Soon the map points out he's right in the training camp, inside a dead troll. Over at Round Mountain, a huge crowd of rookie recruits stands by for orders. Meanwhile, the instructor yells that he's not in the mood to repeat world history. Blended into the crowd, our kid finally understands how this place operates. He realizes the villain's shoes set up 5 courts and split the world with his crew. Wiping the board, the master announces today's topic is talent marks. Evidence shows these are birthrights. Every beast comes equipped with theirs from day one. And to use this thing, a guy has to burn through that mark's energy directly. Pointing out the scale, the power ranges from 1 to 6, leaving the legends out. The show-off even brags about having to, warning that leveling up is super tough. With only 1 tiny mark, the MC feels the power tingling and wants to test it out. Then the master explains the 2nd mark unlocks authority, the most OP technique. Out of nowhere, the students clear a path for the local big shot to walk through. A cocky blonde guy shoves our kid right away, trying to force his way through. Avoiding any suspicion, the boy bites his tongue and skips the fight, but the jerk makes sure to mock him, calling him trash that belongs in the fields. Killing the mood, the teacher sends the MC to the pen and kicks off the practical training. He warns them that on a real battlefield, pure talent doesn't win fights alone. Mounted on a creepy beast, the guy tries playing the big strategist for the class. The blonde kid thinks it's awesome, but our boy is just boiling with rage inside. Unveiling a giant monster, the master claims it's one of the 10 famous creations. Next, he challenges the rookies to find the blind spot of this killing machine. As usual, our MC thinks this whole show is a complete waste of time. Decides to bounce from there, regretting he can't just slice everyone up at once. Meanwhile, the crowd keeps guessing while he sneaks away to dodge any drama. And just like that, everything changed. The big guy's eye glows with killer fury, snapping the chains with pure brute force. The beast tramples the recruits mercilessly. The master tries to hold the creature back, yelling at the freak to stay put. Super confident, he announces the beast's weak spot on its throat is already handled. But the creature flashes a bizarre smile, showing off its razor-sharp teeth. Calling the teacher absolute trash, the beast starts talking and leaves the guy stunned. It confesses to playing dumb for weeks just to finally feast on the rookies. Right away, the beast's thick skin cracks completely and crumbles to the floor, and with one violent swipe, it sends the instructor flying across the training ground. The power of the strike is so massive that it throws a whole crowd along with him. Spinning with everything he has, the monster sweeps the area in a devastating wind attack. Freaked out by the wild power of the 3 marks, the cocky blonde decides to run. Except when he tries to bail, he ends up bumping right into our boy. On the ground, the demon playboy yells that the MC blocked his way. The hero just stands there, his shoulder bleeding from the bump. Right then, the beast spots its target and charges forward, crushing the fallen bodies. Leaping with pure rage in its eyes, the monster swears the kid has no way out. Pinned to the floor, the blonde realizes he'll need to burn his secret escape weapon, and the giant shadow already covers our hero, ready to crush him for good. Closing the trap, pure energy claws block any chance of dodging. Surprisingly, the kid stays calm, just farming aura and peace. The giant freezes mid-lunge, completely lost against that terrifying energy. Panicking hard, the beast sees that the weak kid isn't showing a single drop of fear. Remembering his fallen brothers, he doubts the rookie knows his blind spot. The punch ducks inches from the target, kicking up a massive dust cloud in the MC's face. Completely stunned, the monster tries fooling itself into thinking it's just a bluff. Our boy stays standing, spotless, right in the middle of the arena's leftover chaos. With an icy glare, he drops the truth. If the beast takes one more step, it's over. Then, the giant swallows his pride and tells the guy to hold back his authority. Using its ultimate dash, the creature charges with the clear intent to finish this quick. The MC stands like a statue, while the blonde just watches from the floor with front row seats. Man, the attack completely misses and triggers an explosion way in the back. Turning into a flying bird, the beast realizes instantly that clashing head-on is madness. So, the massive beast just dips into the sky, leaving everybody looking foolish. With zero rush, the kid walks super calmly right up to the prodigy. He reaches out that blood-stained hand right in the cocky playboy's face. Thinking he's getting some help, the jerk starts laughing at this so-called servant's attitude. The touch lands on his shoulder and the guy flinches, terrified it's a trap, except the boy just rips off a piece of the show-off's fancy shirt, using the fabric to wipe the blood off his own hand. Bold as can be. Furious, the guy freaks out, but our hero just turns his back and walks away. The crowd of rookies is left speechless seeing the beast run away in fear of him. Answering some huge dude, the MC lies that the monster ignores anyone who stays still. Everyone falls for the trick and decides to go hunt the big guy down for the reward, but our boy knows perfectly well that standing still there is just asking to get flattened. Coming back mad, the blonde accuses the kid of being arrogant with his books. The jerk fakes a tough guy pose, swearing his legs aren't shaking from sheer terror. Without a second thought, he sends his 5 goons to hunt the boy down. Deep in the dark, the shady squad is already plotting to make the kid suffer slowly. Tired of waiting around, the tower crew decides it's way past time to strike. Our kid keeps walking through an empty spot while being completely watched. In the blink of an eye, a thick fog rises from the ground and blocks the whole path. The leader steps up and yells at them to not let the target slip away at all costs. Someone in the gang warns them to watch out for that Snake Clan's poison, telling the group to split up. The boss doesn't even notice one of the guys shivering from the smoke. And wouldn't you know it, a big dude in the squad starts screaming he got bit on the stomach. Before anyone can help, the guy's stomach swells up just like a gas balloon. But the pressure is so intense that his body gives out and bursts into dust. The flash lights up the silhouettes of the rest of the gang hiding in ambush. Another goon yells in panic, realizing the smoke is pure poison. On the floor, one of them rolls around screaming that his eyes are burning up. Meanwhile, the kid announces the 5 of them are going to be test subjects for his mark. Activating thermal vision, he channels his energy to see through the pitch black and quickly triggers the snake dash, launching some cracked attacks. To him, this snake bloodline is 1,000 times more tactical than the old one. One of the survivors doesn't back down and morphs his arm into a sharp blade. Rushing in full force, the guy goes right after the MC through the green gas. Except our hero doesn't even blink, staring the enemy down with an icy glare. The rival mocks him, calling him lucky, convinced the kid is easy pickings. Packing pure evil energy in his arm, the brute preps the finishing slice and swings down with zero mercy, dropping a heavy strike with his bone weapon. No one saw that coming. The MC blocks the hit with his bare arm. The demon audience's jaws drop, completely shocked by this wild scene. But our boy keeps that exact same blank look on his face. Bleeding just a bit, he casually holds the giant blade with a single hand. That makes the blue goon lose his mind, shaking from head to toe. Seeing his leader down, he drops his weapons and pins all the blame on the blonde. The MC isn't buying it and warns him that excuse won't save his skin. In sheer panic, the beast promises to guide him to the boss's stash. The deal is set, since the kid needs that skin-shedding item to level up. Arriving near a waterfall, the goon points out that this is the spot. Right on the edge, he points to the hidden caves behind the falling water. But our kid just grabs the traitor from behind and gives him a massive scare. In a flash, he tosses the beast inside and he gets turned into a pincushion by arrows. Path clear, the MC actually thanks the former goon for disarming the trap. Looking inside, the place is completely crawling with deadly traps. And far away, a spy skull watches the whole thing and passes the gossip to the boss. The guard tells the leader that a snake rookie sent the beast running. Amused by this, the boss lady gives a little smirk, loving the chaos. This figure is the famous Bone Crusher, keeping an eye on everything from her throne. Back at the cave, the kid is super disappointed, finding only a tiny mid-chest. But right as he opens it, an angry yell cuts the silence, telling him to drop it. The cocky blonde shows up, and the boy chucks the box right at his face. Catching the thing mid-air, the playboy asks if the rookie lost his mind. Without saying a word, the MC delivers a heavy kick and snaps the arrogant guy's leg. Beaten down, the jerk cries while hugging his own leg. At last he realizes this so-called servant is built different and gets a reality check. He quickly sees that fighting is out of the question, since healing will take way too long. So the coward decides to bail and gets ready for takeoff. Summoning the rock armor, giant wings burst open on his back. Our MC just watches, confirming it's another bird beast. Letting out a tired sigh, he steps outside and stares up at the sky. Deep down, he starts remembering all the hatred he holds for this species. At that moment, a shadow covers the cave entrance, blocking out the light. Acting fast, the kid jumps down a dark hole to the lower level. In his mind, anything with wings is the first that needs to get taken out. Way up high, the blonde looks down, not understanding a single thing. Man, this is where it gets good. The MC pops up flying and catches the jerk completely off guard. The two of them plummet, locked in a brawl, straight into a lake way down below. Free falling, the hero lands a clean hook that draws some blood, right after he drops another heavy bomb right on the rival's face. The impact is so heavy it launches the jerk straight into the lake water. Meanwhile, our boy touches down light as a feather right on the surface. Beaten up but standing tall, he waits on the water for the worst. Surfacing again, the prodigy whines about his terrible luck falling into the bile lake. Under the water, things start getting super weird and bubbly. A horde of dark creatures leaps from the water, surrounding the hero. These things latch onto his skin, biting and tearing at everything. Laughing hard, the blonde swears the local worms will chew him to the bone. According to the lore, this spot came from a monster meant to conquer the world. Ignoring the chatter, the MC grits his teeth to endure the pain. Suddenly, the March glow starts pulsing through his entire body. Pure energy just erupts, blasting the leeches far away. He gets completely stunned by all this raw power, but he quickly laughs it off, warning that these bugs never stop spawning. Without blinking, the kid channels cracked power into his palm. Unleashing a blast of glowing snakes, he crushes the worms instantly. The spell flies straight at the blonde, but he dodges with a backflip. Flexing hard, the jerk claims nobody wins a fight moving that slow. With those steel wings, the show-off slices the energy snakes mid-air. He swears up and down the kid is about to become monster food right there. Watching the swarm grow, the playboy warns that exhaustion will take the hero out. That mass of worms groups up into a giant gross ball and charges forward. Except the MC's magic counters hard and clears the area with a heavy hit. Hundreds of parasites evaporate and rain right back into the acid water. And that's where it gets crazy. Our boy's eye lights up with a pure glow. Spinning like a top, he builds a power hurricane all around himself. This time, one of the snakes turns into lightning and slaps the rival's face. Spooked, the jerk can't understand how this trash is picking up speed. The lake turns into a slimy soup with the leftovers from the shredded bugs. To him, farming the second mark on these beasts grants enough levels to win. Flashing a confident smile, he warns that the next strike goes for the head. Bow in hand, the blonde loses his mind thinking the guy went crazy. Swiftly, the MC dashes in the blink of an eye, leaving his rival looking foolish. Yelling to be taken seriously, the jerk pulls purple energy into his bow. He brags about Shu's arrow, pulled straight from the sea for this exact moment. Without holding back, he releases the string, firing the piercing bolt in a straight line. The projectile cuts through the wind right toward our boy's wide-open chest. But here's the kicker. He catches the lethal arrow midair with his bare hands. Instantly, dark magic snakes pop out and wrap themselves around the weapon. That heavy impact drags the MC deep underwater, arrow and all, creating a massive splash. The snakes vanish into the deep end of the lake. Seconds later, a hand floats to the surface, sparking with purple energy. The playboy freezes up, wondering if the guy got fried by his own thunder. Out of nowhere, a pretty demon girl lands, asking if her brother is okay. Following the trail, the girl hears that he just put some loser in his place, except he tries playing the tough guy while clutching his busted chest. His sister hands back the item bag, swearing to protect his healing with her life. Down in the depths, the kid checks out his new loot but feels a heavy vibe. Then he tries figuring out why his body is shifting out of the blue. His eye turns into a snake's while purple energy completely takes over. In the blink of an eye, his physical form melts down and rebuilds itself. Soon, the image of a snake eating its own tail shows up in his eyes. Glowing bright, the infinity symbol draws itself right on his pupil. He pops back up brand new, announcing that everything makes sense now. By draining the arrow's energy, the hero feels the power overflowing. The kid realizes instantly that the strike was the trigger to awaken everything. Wasting no time, he activates the secret technique from his ancient bloodline. And the name of this OP power drops, the Serpent's Skin Shedding. This power blasts the blonde point blank, making him scream covered in purple energy. Back on the shore, the jerk thinks the lack of bubbles means he won. Wiping his bleeding nose, he sighs thinking he'll finally get some peace. Except the sky goes dark out of nowhere, and a giant lightning bolt tears the clouds. Right then, a bizarre paw steps into the water, making it overflow. Looking up, the enemy duo gets spooked by the heavy rain pouring down. Next, purple lightning starts cracking right in the middle of the storm. Terrified, the playboy notices the color of that storm is completely off, and the lake water boils with a truly terrifying aura. Man, at this exact moment, a purple energy explosion bursts from the deep water. The impact kicks up a brutal wave that throws both siblings far away. Getting up dizzy, the jerk realizes something jumped right in the middle of the light. Pale with fear, the girl points her shaking finger at the figure nearby. Right in the middle of the lake, a warrior takes a direct hit from a lightning bolt. He loses it completely, yelling that a scene like this is impossible. Standing on the rock, the silhouette of our transformed boy glares at his rival. Soaked to the bone, the siblings freeze up, completely terrified. High above, the purple storm gains even more destructive power. Showing off his phantom thunder form, he announces that the Reaper has waited long enough. The blonde guy snaps, calls the kid trash, and charges in going all out. But the attack doesn't even connect, since a purple barrier knocks the guy away. Taking the hit, the prodigy drops his jaw at how cracked this power is. Beaten down, he screams in fury over getting so badly clowned, and the damage is so heavy that it violently rips off one of the beast's wings. Stepping on his grounded rival, the hero mocks that he doesn't even qualify as a test dummy. Right after he fires a shot that blasts the poor guy to the other side of the water, his sister falls into pure despair watching the blood fly. Stranded on the shore, the demon girl can only watch and cry. Choking on water, the jerk regrets not having enough power to fight back. He realizes real quick that if he gets taken out here, his sister goes down too. This is where it gets good. The guy erupts in fury and unleashes a monstrous aura. Our boy just gives a side-eye, finding the shift pretty interesting. Then, the rival activates his feather mantle and pulls crazy fire from the sky. Shocked, the sister realizes he finally triggered his own authority. Shedding tears, the girl swears she won't let him take this beating alone. She uses the Dominator's Eye to summon a giant creature into the fight. With a massive yell, the girl pushes her power past its limit. The show-off lines up right in front of the summoned monster. Together, they fire off a rain of arrows covering the sky. Planting his feet, the MC braces himself for the clash of the double strike. Without blinking, he returns the favor with a purple lightning cannon. The spells clash mid-air, creating a massive shockwave. That blast hits so hard it even drags the kid backward, but his energy overpowers it, shredding right through the golden feathers. Making things worse, the summoned beast leaps with its mouth wide open to swallow him. Except the boy shields himself by spawning multiple purple light tentacles. And this is where it gets good. He summons the Thunder Serpent's Bite. A snake made of pure energy leaps from the water with wild destructive power. Refusing to lose, the playboy bursts into flames and yells that this is his final move. The guy turns into a golden spinning top using his own monster as a wall. Right then, the charge crashes head-on into our MC's shield. At that exact moment, his sister triggers that petrifying gaze. The girl's magic fully sweeps across the entire battlefield, and a massive pillar of light drops from above, swallowing our hero whole. Laughing at the scene, the blonde mocks that the trash won't survive that pressure. Deep inside the light, the kid praises the attack but warns he's striking back. He focuses his purple aura into a highly lethal counterattack. The heavy hit knocks the jerk out cold, making him collapse into the water while his sister tries to help. Broken, he hands over the healing bag and tells her to run away. Barely hanging on, the guy burns his last bit of strength protecting the girl. Except our hero steps right on the bag, crushing their loot. Suddenly, a bunch of eyes rolls out across the floor, and the beaten guy cries begging for them. Throwing the truth in their faces, our boy asks how many victims got blinded to make that cure. Floating in the water, one of the eyes proves the siblings' twisted cruelty. Fully in shock, the duo cries begging for mercy and offering everything. The kid fires back, asking if their victims also begged for mercy. They stay quiet, having zero answers to give the boy, spinning 2 small fruits in his hand. The hero demands a straight and short answer. The siblings stare at each other terrified with no way to dodge that heavy guilt. Shaking hard, the girl confesses she doesn't even remember their faces. With that, he realizes this race is still monstrous, hiding under their civilization. Thinks to himself the only difference now is they end lives out of pure convenience. Chewing the fruit, he gets that causing pain just became a routine in their lives. Already back to normal, he notices this power is his biggest trump card, but he also notes the energy cost is way too high to just keep spamming it. A bit later, a soldier reports the location of the 2 bodies to the boss. The goon details it was a quick wipeout done with shock damage. At that moment, a purple-haired woman shows up super annoyed about the mess in her zone. Meanwhile, a highly suspicious figure walks alone through the woods. The boss lady declares she'll personally hunt down whoever is causing trouble around there. Revealing his face, we see a skinny farmer holding a hat and a hoe. Without warning, the purple demon locks eyes on that peasant's presence. She demands to know what he's doing, and the guy uses picking fruits as an excuse. Searching her memory, the boss remembers him as the slave from the rumors. Yet the beast throws him to the ground, saying she has no time to waste. With her foot on him, she orders the poor guy to fetch ingredients for a pie. The vibe gets tense, with the villain pinning the guy down with her shoe. She swears that if he doesn't find the food fast, she'll eat the kid alive. Right after that, the boss turns her back and marches away with her squad. Left alone, our MC notices that Crazy Lady's mark is exactly like Old Faye's. He notes that speed beats brute force, but against her, things get super complicated. And regrets it hard because taking down someone with 4 marks would be a massive power spike. Knowing the huge disadvantage, his odds are almost 0 without finding her weak spot. So the kid asks himself how he's going to hold back the urge to attack right now. His look shifts completely, and the choice is made. The real hunt just started. Far away, the boss studies some special marks and rules. The first one out immediately. Ignores the second one too, since the victims' bodies didn't show any electric damage. Eventually, the beast finds a text about this skill called Mountain of Bodies, but she casually shuts the book, swearing that's not what she's looking for. In the MC's mind, this hunt takes patience and just one fatal strike. At the same time, 2 goons pull a cart, terrified of the boss finding out. One of them tells his partner to chill, believing their hideout is perfect. Man, right then a bug flies straight past the duo on the road. And guess what? The insect gets swallowed instantly by a big toad sitting on a leaf. Right behind them, our boy just watches everything with that scheming look. Patting the toad, he agrees the area is great to farm some kills. A random demon tries walking into a cave full of torches, blocks the guy right away, ordering him to show the black market token to pass. Sneaking in, the kid sees a sketchy crowd trading all kinds of loot. Without stalling, he tosses that shiny token he grabbed and secures VIP access. He listens to the gossip about illegal sales and realizes he got through the door super easily. In a corner, some guy offers Anxi steel weapons, but the hero thinks it's just cheap talk. Looking at that golden medal, he heavily doubts anyone knows how to forge that nowadays. Further ahead, they're selling bizarre potions, except the buyers are terrified of getting caught. The crowd thinks this ban is crazy and mutters that the leader must have lost her mind. Catching the conversation, our MC already finds that behavior super suspicious. And right in the chaos, a merchant yells out selling humans with 0 shame. To keep the sale alive, the scammer promises to clear the whole batch for a friendly price. Walking up from behind, our boy drops the bomb that he's taking the whole batch. The seller looks back, laughing, mocking if a guy dressed in rags even has the cash. Without saying a word, the hero shows the thunder arrow and the beast recognizes it instantly. Hyped about the trade, he orders the prisoners moved away to deal in secret. Right then, a blindfolded little boy is dragged by a rope nearby. Struggling to walk, the kid ends up tripping and falls face first onto the stone floor. The goon starts screaming, yanking the collar with a brutal force that makes your blood boil. He falls again, now crying with his leg all scraped up and bleeding. From a distance, a big lizard grumbles that he had already picked the kid to be his snack. The scammer rushes everything near the exit, terrified of catching heat from the blonde playboy. And behind a giant door, some beast keeps peeking before the lock drops. That same thick wooden door glows, lit up by the flames in the dark cave. Inside, the horned guy gets grabbed by multiple purple energy tentacles. Trapped in the magic, the beast screams like a maniac trying to escape that nightmare. And that's where it gets crazy. He yells in agony while the pressure crushes his life away. On the outside, the door is already painted red, proving the absolute massacre. Super slowly, the wood creaks and opens, letting the purple light leak into the hallway. Our hero pops up at the entrance, calmly admiring the destruction he just caused in there. Without making a sound, he packs his stuff and quietly slips out of the hideout. And the camera shows the floor fully covered in fallen bodies everywhere. Far from the drama, the human prisoners get dragged along and forced to stay quiet. The big lizard speaks up, swearing to rip out the tongue of anyone who tries to complain. And just like that, everything changed. The MC pops up and pierces the lizard's chest with one hit. Dusting off his hands, he announces he leveled up since the X-bar filled out. A little blonde girl in the group completely panics and bursts into tears out of pure fear. To make things worse, the monster's head rolls over and stops right at the poor kid's feet. Shaking hard, the little girl curses the hero out, calling him the worst monster of them all. He just thinks that at least now, the chance of glitching into a crazy state is lower. The system makes it clear the skill is rare and shows up alone in the stats. Ignoring the warning, he crouches down to face the brat and the blind boy next to her. Then he pulls out that little bag of eyes, casually asking if the package belonged to them. The little boy flashes a massive smile and hugs the bag, overwhelmed with joy. Right after, our boy tells the group to get moving, and the girl asks if he isn't going to lock them up. Tossing the chains in the trash, he admits that seeing chained people makes him sick. In a corner of the area, that green toad from earlier just watches from the top of a barrel. One of the rescued guys celebrates getting his sight back and immediately drops to his knees to thank him. Casting a healing spell, the MC tells the old dude to shut up so they don't cause an echo. Curious about the whole thing, the kid asks why he helped and he drops a simple, just because. With that weird answer, the poor girl freezes up, deeply confused by this beast's morals. He gives them a sharp glare and warns everyone to mind their business because he's busy. Our boy states straight up that he's thinking of a quick and painless way to get rid of them. Out of nowhere, nobody makes a sound, and the cave's vibe gets thick enough to cut with a knife. Everyone holds their breath, terrified of what might go down next. Finding this super weird, the little girl tries to figure out why the adults froze up. To save the situation, the crazy kid pulls a wild idea out of nowhere to break the ice. She turns to the group, clears her throat, and announces she's dropping a good joke, talking super hyped about a bar that offered a discount on the second round of drinks. Then the drunk guy in the story walks up to the counter demanding the second mug right away. The rescued folks just blink slowly with the most blank expressions ever. Frustrated by the silence, the brat gets bummed out, thinking her comedy show is a total flop. Except in the back of the cave, someone holds back a laugh and lets out a snort. One of the older guys found it funny, and the blonde girl's eyes actually sparkle with excitement. But man, right at that moment, a giant tentacle bursts out of the laughing guy's body. The black slime chokes the little girl instantly, and she lets out a massive scream of panic. More whips show up and trap the whole squad, making everyone yell in agony. Thrown to the dirt, the remaining guy asks what kind of sick joke this is. With his arms crossed, our MC shakes his head, thinking everyone is way too naive. He drops the hard truth and explains that demons never help anyone without a dirty motive. Flashing a huge billing smile, the kid announces the lesson of the day is to not trust him. Seconds later, the older guys and the boy pass out from the poison while the blonde kid is left shocked. Our boy stares her down up close and asks if she'd rather bite the dust or give up. Fearless, the brat accuses the guy of faking being evil. Figuring out the poison just puts them to sleep. Caught in the lie, the protagonist frowns and just stares at the kid in silence. She insists that nobody teaches lessons to fallen people, and he just asks why she's acting so bold. Wiping her tears, the girl swears she trusts him because the big guy has a good heart. At that, our hero sighs and wants to know what the little pest is going to do with her life now. The crazy kid immediately asks to tag along, but he shuts it down, saying he doesn't carry dead weight. Shrugging it off, she introduces herself as Sulla, the blacksmith, and demands the big guy's name. No one saw that coming. The kid freezes up and asks if she's related to Alexius. Nodding yes, all confused, she gets shocked that this beast knows her grandpa. Our MC admits he was close buddies with the old man and even carried her around when she was a baby. Cutting back to the past, the scene shows smoke from a human workshop rising into the sky. In a flashback, Alexius warns that he doesn't forge weapons for people who attack innocents. Staring down the young guy, he gets straight to the point, asking who the dude is. He claims the kid gives off a heavy vibe and his mark can sense it from miles away. The blacksmith tells him to bounce, but the MC drops that Sister Dia sent him. Our boy demands the sword, and the old man questions if he actually knows the nun. Alexius then wants to know if the kid is really working together with her. With total suspicion, the old-timer analyzes every single detail of our hero. He ends up taking the request, figuring Sister Dia's trust must have a solid reason. Pointing to a statue of compassion, he states that will be the design for the handguard. Our MC asks for the deadline, and the old man explains that forging takes a long time. Also mentions his daughter-in-law is having a baby and he needs to bless the child. With that, the kid leaves, walking alone under the light snow. Coming back some time later, he finds the place wrecked with the sword on the ground. Inside, he spots Alexius holding the baby and immediately asks about his weapon. The old man tells him to grab the blade himself, pointing over to the door. Reading Sulla carved on the weapon, he figures out is the name of both the granddaughter and the sword. Our protagonist quickly asks what happened to the kid's parents. As usual, the master shares that they didn't survive a monster attack. Grieving, he explains those beasts ruined everything and everyone in their path. It clicks right away, and the MC asks if his beloved was also a victim. With pure pain in his eyes, he gets the heavy news that nobody made it out alive. The blacksmith cries because his little granddaughter didn't even get a birth blessing. Our boy looks deep into the baby's eyes with absolute determination. Blessing the girl, he wishes her a peaceful life while he goes out hunting those beasts. The old guy even suggests swapping the handguard, since compassion doesn't really fit anymore. Gripping the sword tight, the hero heads out and leaves the man behind in the snow. In front of an entire army, he ignores compassion and gets ready to strike. He claims healing is cheap comfort and charges at the enemies full force. Wielding the Sulla blade, he swears that his main mission from now on, the goal is to stop any villain who tries to lay a hand on an innocent, knowing he needs to act super fast before another tragedy happens. And he makes a promise to wipe every single one of those cruel monsters off the map. Right in the muddle of total chaos, he tears through the enemy lines without a second thought. He swears up and down he'll keep fighting until he builds a literal mountain of rivals. Yet he stays shielded and completely locked in on this journey to clean up the world, fighting nonstop until he takes down a ridiculous amount of opponents. His focus is to leave no one standing to try and tell the story later. When it's all said and done, the scene wraps up with him on top of a pile of defeated enemies. Sulla figures out instantly that he's Uncle Glon, just finding it bizarre that he looks so young. Warning her it's a long story, the hero asks how she ended up as a hostage. She confesses she's only going back home when she manages to forge the ultimate weapon. Our boy just stands there in silence, taking in the girl's guts, giving massive support for her dream. He leaves the brat super hyped up. The MC's clawed hand gives a slight clench from the tension, whispering to himself. He notes that having such a pure goal actually makes him a bit jealous. Left at the scene, a note claims the vampire knight saved everyone. The rescued crew starts waking up kind of dizzy, having no clue what just went down. That healed old guy screams that Glon's disciple was their great savior. And just like that, the group walks together trying to find a truly safe spot. The little boy still looks back, kind of shocked by the absolute madness that happened there. Shifting scenes, a massive anvil drops onto the cave's stone floor. Our MC walks in, announcing he brought the tools, and checking how she's doing. With a chest full of pride, the girl shows off the makeshift forge and calls it a breeze. She only complains that the famous Anxi steel is with the demons, leaving her zero materials. Right then, the kid pulls a pure chunk of that ultra-rare metal out of his pocket, telling her he found it on the way. She praises the guy for being a top-tier treasure hunter. He asks if she can actually forge it, and the crazy girl brags about being a pro at this. Sulla explains how in the whole world only she, her grandpa, and King Agricola know the craft. Furthermore, she says the king is a scumbag and there are only 6 of those weapons on the planet. The hero realizes the massive threat of this new generation and decides to fast-track his training. As he turns his back, the brat asks where he's headed, and he just drops a "going hunting." Over at the hot springs, the boss lady gets the memo that the market was completely wiped out. Chilling in the water, the villain orders everyone to be exposed in the plaza as a warning. Her goon tries asking about the intruder, but she shuts him down and tells him to get to work. Threatening the servant, she warns that if breakfast is bad, everyone bites the dust. Underneath the warm water, she relaxes with a super arrogant look on her face. Left all alone, the crazy woman confesses she has a massive craving for some sweets. 2 demon guards are chatting about the danger and wondering if hiding their aura is even possible. One of them thinks it's nearly impossible, completely unaware our MC is eavesdropping on the gossip. Spooked by the heavy tension, the guard suspects an invasion and goes on high alert. Our boy strolls right past them, playing the weakest target to bait some prey. Suddenly, another prodigy drops defeated out of nowhere, leaving the whole guard panicking. Catching the scene from afar, the kid realizes he's not the only one hunting in this zone. Unsure of who else is clapping these geniuses, he dips out of the area. His footsteps stay steady, cutting right through that packed dirt road. With laser focus, he keeps his mind locked entirely on the next mission. Stepping into a ruined village, he immediately bumps into another dropped body. The scenery is super creepy, filled with old clothes scattered across empty little houses. Ironically enough, he wonders what kind of beast would try learning how to farm out here. Moments later, the kid spots a hooded figure and casually approaches. And that's where it gets crazy. A massive boom shatters the silence of the village. Our MC takes a lightning-fast hit and faceplants hard before he even processes it. Taking the heavy strike, the boy just crosses his arms and fully tanks the impact. With his hand shifting into claws, he locks the guy's arm in an iron grip. Shocked by the resistance, the enemy realizes the beast's defense is just cracked. Meanwhile, the shadowy figure just watches his reflections over by the old tent. Wasting no time, the hooded scumbag strings together another cheap attack right after. Our boy isn't letting that slide, delivering a heavy kick that explodes an entire puddle. From the splash, the hooded guy is already charging up his next strike. Slicing through the wind, he steps forward and blasts an energy cannon right at our hero. That leaves the enemy baffled that he's still breathing, quickly calling the kid stubborn. Gripping the hero's shoulder, the hooded fighter confesses he underestimated his target. Immediately, the attacker's hand lights up with this terrifyingly OP purple energy. Everything around them blows up, swallowing the opponent in a wildly broken move. The sinister magic expands like a giant mouth trying to devour the entire arena. Man, right then a blast just completely wipes out everything in the vicinity. Quickly, the dust rises as the village turns to ash with lightning shooting everywhere, covered in bruises. The kid realizes the attacker used their mark to tank the damage. Both of them end up backing away into the rubble, their auras pulsing heavy. Taking off into the sky, the mysterious shadow retreats, leaving just a torn piece of cloth behind. From way up high, the scrap of fabric drops heavy right in front of the kid, and a second it hits the ground, the thing freezes over like a solid block of ice. Melting out of nowhere, the object evaporates right in the middle of that wrecked landscape. The flying demon spawns in the area but drops the hunt, knowing she can't catch up. She finds it wild that someone so cracked only has one mark and starts plotting his future. Noticing he barely scratched the beast, our MC remembers Sulla's sword will take months. At that exact moment, it hits him that he needs to shapeshift to pierce that defense. Locking in completely, the boy pulls all his energy to attempt a brand new transformation. His silhouette starts falling apart, turning into this glitchy and unstable shadow. Except he remembers one crucial detail and immediately thinks of Sulla's name. Back at the workshop, the hero asks about the chimney, and she admits she forgot because of the steel. Sulla completely freaks out when she realizes the forge's fire went way past the sweet spot. Grabbing a pair of tongs, the girl struggles to tame the brightly glowing metal. Eyes glued to the task, she does everything to shape that blazing hot piece. Swiftly, the brat dunks the metal into the water for that heavy thermal shock. As the smoke clears out, she finally hands over the finished piece of work. She points out she forged a top-tier hand sword with the most perfect balance. Holding up the 7th Anxi steel weapon, the crazy girl brags about her masterpiece. Then the little one asks Uncle Glon to be a witness to this historic moment. The blade's glow blinds them both, overflowing with this ridiculous power filling the workshop. Praising it to the moon, our boy gives it a 10 out of 10, leaving the girl jumping for joy. When he asks about the weapon's hilt, he hears the brat is still hunting down the ideal material. That's no problem, since the raw blade already gets the job done for him. Sulla decides to dub the invention Little Sulla to honor the old weapon. With a grin on his face, the protagonist easily accepts the new name. Finally, the sword is 100% complete and rocking a handguard. Gripping the blade, the MC's body is already begging to absorb it and secure that level up. But the guy holds back, saving the skin shedding for when the timing is picture perfect. Raising her hammer, the crazy girl swears up and down she'll make the craft flawless. She even asks to see his new technique, but he warns her that mountain is way too small. The very next day, the girl passes out in bed from pure exhaustion, until a really delicious smell starts waking the brat up. Opening her eyes, she spots this massive fruit pie sitting right on the table. Our boy explains to the surprised girl that he picked up the recipe back at the Royal Academy. Using his monster claws, he adjusts an orange slice to finish plating the dish. The kid carries the giant dessert and slips right past the local security like a ghost. In no time, he strolls right into the fancy hall where the boss lady is chilling. Visibly dead serious, the protagonist's face shows he is 100% locked in on the mission. She just sits there sizing the kid up from afar with a wicked little smirk. Stopping right in front of the villain, she tells him she wants to see if the taste matches the size. Then, she praises the kid for being smart enough to personally deliver the grub. Laughing it off, she casually drops that this servant definitely knows how to get her attention. Right after that, the wicked lady turns her head and yells at her goons for some wine. And no one saw that coming. He whips out Little Sulla and swings with zero mercy. Taking a grazing cut, the crazy woman freezes up, noticing the weapon is made of Anxi steel. Our hero immediately activates monster mode and lets her know her luck just ran out. So the woman stops playing around and pulls out her special rune armament technique. Summoning a massive, bizarre shield, she screams that her defense is flat out unbreakable. The kid takes a step back, completely ready to test the true limits of that mark. Mocking him to his face, she swears that cheap little trick doesn't scare her one bit. Dripping with sarcasm, he asks if she's short on honey and vows to give her exactly what she likes. Then, the guy unleashes a cracked sword combo straight into that shield. The impact of the Anxi steel against the boss's barrier makes the whole room shake. Under all that pressure, the villain's untouchable defense starts cracking right away. Two beasts staring each other down while the blade crushes the impenetrable barrier. All of this leaves the woman stunned, sweating bullets to hold her ground. Right at that moment, the boss fires up a violent aura for a heavy counterattack. Launching the Twilight Charge, she rushes the MC like a freight train. The sharp tip of the spear stops inches from his eye in a desperate block. By a hair, he moves his face out of the way, showing off cracked reflexes. And the weapons spark as they scrape together, saving the hero from getting pierced. He takes the recoil from the magic clash and goes flying backward across the hall. A massive purple and yellow blast lights up everything from the skills colliding. Clearing the area, the shockwave knocks even the woman's shield out of bounds. Soon enough, she bets the kid is gonna gas out if he keeps rushing like this. Without much gas left, he realizes he can only strike 4 more times and switches plans. So, the kid takes a huge leap backward, making some solid distance from the enemy. Acting fast, he lays down the underworld thundernet across the floor. The woman mocks the attack, thinking it's just some rookie magic trick. In one wild jump, she dodges the trap and ignites a blinding aura. He figures out right away that the villain stole his old partner Faye's technique to isolate herself. Our MC freaks out, feeling like this thief has no right to use his friend's power. Seeing the guy boil with rage, the demon mocks him, asking why he's throwing a fit. Then she seizes the opening, setting up a venomous strike with her spiral spear. The shot hits the kid dead on, and a flash shows a hole punched right through his chest. Heavily damaged, the hero gets launched backward while the woman lands smoothly. She strikes a grand pose, calling the kid pathetic for dropping his guard out of nowhere. And this is where it gets good. Ghost snakes sprout up, wrapping the villain in the skin shed technique. Freaking out, the witch can't accept she got baited by such a cheap trick. The hero's blade shines bright, syncing perfectly with the snake mark. But the boss doesn't back down, asking if the kid is just gonna keep putting on a light show. With the transformation complete, our boy makes it clear the warm-up is over. Resting the sword against his damaged chest, he warns her that he's going all out now. Meanwhile, an ancient mural tells the story of the giant lava snake. Legend says the hero choked the beast bare-handed and gave his life in the process. Surrounded by magic, the boss arms herself and declares it's all or nothing now. Spotting a glaring flaw in her own defense, the villain panics, foreseeing her downfall. Our MC strikes in the exact millisecond she tries to pull another weapon. In the blink of an eye, the kid lands a sword strike with scary brutality. Sighing in relief, he drops a "finally" as he watches the perfect cut connect. Except the woman bites down hard on the Ansi steel, laughing as she calls him the real prey. The beast's martial style shines, winding up a punch with a wicked steel glove. That iron bomb tears through the air right toward our hero's face. Glon crosses his arms to tank it, but the pressure from that hit is just built different, crushing the entire floor. The blow kicks up a dust hurricane that wrecks the hall. With that massive knockback, the newly forged little Sulla goes flying away from the fight. High up in the air and barely conscious, he feels his insides scrambled and prays for a quick heal. But our boy stays station, let's say, clenching his broken fist and refusing to take the L here. The boss laughs from down below, asking if this weakling is seriously trying jujitsu against pure magic. He warns her he's got plenty of street experience and doesn't mind throwing down on the floor. Right after that, the two grapple and roll across the ground in an intense brawl, pinning him down. The boss says he should be gone by now and brings up another hero. With a wicked smile, she claims it'd be a total waste to finish him off right here. Gron takes that opening and bites down on the woman's leg with everything he's got. Caught off guard, the demon pins him down and asks if the kid wants to work for her. He gets the taunt and decides that's gonna be a hard pass from him. And during this massive power clash, their energy blast completely shatters the ground. Going on the offensive, the boss lands a devastating punch and tells him to disappear for good. The impact is so heavy it shatters the whole area, throwing debris everywhere. Immediately, the shockwave travels up the neighboring tower, wrecking the entire structure. Without losing momentum, the energy slams into the Skull Mountain, making the very sky tremble. Launched at top speed, our MC crashes straight into the giant skull that was already cracked. From a distance, she points out that only the Anxi steel armor saved our boy. She follows up by saying she highly doubts he'll make it out alive after all that. But right in the middle of his fall, the MC pops his healing skill. Landing with heavy force, he crushes the top of the stone structure right under his feet. The dust settles, revealing the massive size of the skull he just landed on. High up in the sky, a single point of light flashes, signaling the next attack. Channeling all his power into little Sulla, his hair turns stark white alongside a purple aura. At that very moment, the demon looks up and recognizes the celestial fall technique. Grana unleashes the phantom thunder, sending a purple lightning bolt straight through the stoned skull. Furious, the boss clenches her fist, screaming at him, asking how he dares pull this off. Inside a massive energy vortex, our boy starts blasting purple lightning everywhere. Watching this cracked technique unfold, the woman gets completely caught in the attack's shadow. A massive explosion of light detonates, completely destroying the entire battlefield, and the tower just gets swallowed by purple energy, ripping a massive hole through the ceiling. When the dust finally settles, the structure is wrecked, but somehow still standing. Right in the middle of it all, standing tall among the smoke and rubble, is our boy. He holds his sword tight, covered in bandages, staring down the scene with a heavy aura. Keeping his gaze completely locked in, he proves this fight is far from over. The boss steps out of the smoke, admitting that last strike almost sent her to the lobby. She's got her clothes torn up and admits the MC as the very first to force her trump card. Suddenly, a massive blue banner appears as she activates the indestructible flag. With her eyes glowing blue, the villain explains that the item absorbs attacks, telling him to feel proud. Caught completely off guard, the kid asks if he actually just heard the name of that legendary technique right. The boss spawns glowing red claws on her arm, completely wrapped in an aura of pure power. Charging forward with everything she's got, she tells him to take that pride straight to the grave, and no one saw that coming. Our boy completely stops her attack and calls her Faye. Frozen on the spot, the boss makes a face of pure shock just from hearing that name. She looks completely lost and starts crying out of nowhere. Faye stays quiet for a minute, just trying to process the heavy weight of that reveal. Meanwhile, the MC touches his bandages and shows off a specific mark on his chest. Far away from all this, some warriors are talking about how Glon agreed to join their guild. One of the girls looks out at the horizon, finding it weird that the mountain peak is perfectly round. Everyone starts noticing this massive dome-shaped mountain completely dominating the landscape. Out of nowhere, two bright lights flash, revealing that it's actually the head of a giant beast. The round mountain troll stands up, making the entire ground shake beneath them. Roaring in pain, the monster grips its own head with these colossal hands. With its eyes filled with rage, the beast just keeps screaming. Right as that second, the leader sees the top of the troll's head get pointy and finally figures out Glon's technique. And suddenly, a blade of pure energy pierces right through the monster's skull. That beam of light sweeps across the giant, shooting up and slicing the sky. Staggering backward, the colossal troll just starts crumbling down. Magma-filled cracks pop up all over the beast's body as it collapses. To keep everyone safe, one of the girls throws up a light barrier. This energy wraps around the crew, forming a solid safety dome. Hitting the ground, the creature's arm kicks up a massive dust cloud. Right behind it, the giant's head goes rolling, wrecking everything in its path. The monster's face finally stops moving, completely covered in deep gashes. Grinding its teeth one last time, silence completely takes over the battlefield. Back in the past, that name triggers a memory of 4 heroes stepping into a fight. The scene shows a brutal battlefield completely packed with fallen warriors. Then a hand sinks into the muddy ground, showing the real damage of this clash. Covered in battle scars, Grun steps right on a taken-down monster's mouth. With an ice-cold glare, he listens to Faye asking about the letter's backup. The party's swordsman suggests they should all group up and fight together, but our MC just scoffs, keeping it real by saying distance is way better. Turning his back, he walks away, leaving a red trail across the dirt. He figures this whole emotional attachment thing just gets in the way of the mission. After that, the kid shoots the group one last look with a super dark expression. Glaring at the guy, the armored knight makes it clear he doesn't agree with this. Mezov fires back instantly, saying the dude's opinion doesn't matter at all. Walking off without a care, he leaves his footprint stamped into the grass. Back in the present, the swordsman apologizes while the knight brushes it off. After all, he wasn't even trying to build a real bond with the kid anyway. Suddenly, the demon boss stares at the MC in pure shock, asking if it's really him. Reverting to his human form, our boy faces the warrior across the wrecked battlefield. He just nods, dropping a short and blunt, "Yeah." Faye screams with joy, tearing up as she rushes straight toward her friend. Jumping into his arms, she squeezes the guy in a super emotional reunion, and seeing those tears, he actually asks why she's crying out of nowhere. She admits she never thought she'd get to see a party member ever again. Apologizing, the MC admits he let them down back in the day. 2 minions show up right on cue, completely lost at their boss's reaction. Watching from afar, they spot the tough villain hugging the guy under the light. Annoyed, she shoos the dudes away while they gossip about the whole drama. Hiding nearby, the servants assume the boss is crying from the pain of his hits. Back to the duo, our boy casts healing magic right on Faye's arm. The warrior asks if Glon carried the guilt for everything, and he just freezes. But she tells him to chill, prompting the MC to joke if he was really that annoying. Yelling in pain, Faye admits she wore armor because she hates taking damage. Soon after, the vibe settles down, showing a tray full of fruit on the table. Our MC asks about reincarnation, and she confirms she managed to find his sister. Looking completely dumbfounded, our boy asks if she actually swapped genders. He tries to process how a huge dude like him became a demon girl now. That question stuns his former teammate, leaving her staring at the guy in disbelief. And no one saw that coming. She cracks a smile, revealing she was a woman all along. The reveal hits Glon like a freight train, leaving the hero in absolute shock. Completely short-circuiting, he just manages to let out a massive, chuckling. Faye asks if he seriously thought she was a guy this whole time. During a flashback, the warrior remembers an old dance and being called a villain. Feeling a bit down, the MC asks if he was the only clueless one, and she nods. When asked why, Faye keeps it real, simply saying he never bothered to ask. He finds her title super weird, but the warrior explains it just meant sister. Right after that, she asks about the kid, prompting the hero to explain it's Alexius's granddaughter. Strolling around the place, the woman walks up to a barrel holding 4 little action figures. She counts the pieces calmly, quickly noticing there's one missing from the set. Curious about the missing 5th piece, the warrior turns back to look at him. Without getting the deal with the bandages, Faye asks why he pushes himself so hard. The MC replies instantly, saying it's a reminder to always give it his absolute best. Flashing a slight grin, he promises that this time he'll protect everyone from harm. But his friend busts out laughing, thinking the guy is being way too cocky. Suddenly, her expression shifts, asking if he plans on doing everything solo. With a look of pure confidence, she vows to crush their enemies right alongside him. Then and there, the old comrades shake hands to lock in this brand new alliance. That handshake seals the deal, promising they'll fight side by side once again. In the background, the focus shifts right back to those tiny wooden statues on the barrel. We instantly notice that the little Knight Merovi figure is completely wrecked. The boss accuses the guy of hunting newbies, but he says he needs it to level up. Gron explains the current king gave up, and the other leaders are just pure chaos. Being dead serious, he confesses his monster instincts keep trying to hijack his mind. The kid says he already caught on to that, adding that demon life made her way different. Hooked by that thought, the warrior wants to know what changed so much about her. He jokes around, claiming she got soft and lost her creative fighting style. After hearing that, the woman makes a face like she completely missed the insult. Breaking the tension, little Sola pops up asking who the new lady is. Faye can't resist pinching the little girl's cheeks, thinking she's just adorable. The hero introduces his old friend, but the little girl just complains about her own outfit. Scooping the kid up, the boss tells everyone to head straight to her secret hideout. Without complaining, the trio heads down while the boy carries all the gear. Down below, the guy's jaw drops seeing all the intel she managed to stash away. One of the papers there perfectly lists the names of all 5 major villains. Annoyed, the MC begs the girl to stop treating him like a little toy. Sella shows up rocking a new fit, grumbling that the clothes don't help with work. The warrior flexes her styling skills and our boy agrees it looks pretty sick. Checking the mirror, the little one thinks the outfit looks like beachwear. Hyped up, the demon starts hunting for an accessory to finish off the hairstyle. Just in time, a weird glowing light catches our MC's attention over in the corner. He pulls out this massive blue shell that keeps blinking with a super strange glow. Holding the item, the kid zones out, thinking it's some kind of soul calling, but his friend explains it's just a magic relic from an empire that fell ages ago. The boss mentions the thing is used to dive into someone's soul and peek at their memories. With zero hesitation, she pitches the idea of using it to see how they actually died. Quickly, a flashback pops on screen showing their brutal end back in the day. Digging into her memory, the warrior says she felt something bizarre when they fell. Because of that, she asks her friend to check her soul to figure out this reincarnation. The MC doesn't even think twice and agrees, leaving his teammate feeling way relieved. Locked in, she warns him the ritual needs to start right there in that exact moment. She tells him to grab the other half, but our boy is completely lost on the idea. And just like that, everything changed. The guy says it's broken, and she drops the bomb that the other piece is gone. Dying of embarrassment, she confesses some bandits stole a bunch of stuff months ago. He doesn't get why she didn't hunt them down, and the leader admits she's terrible at it. Frustrated, Gron brings up how he tried to teach her stealth, but his student was trash. And he makes sure to roast her, saying everyone always noticed her amateur disguises. Faye swears she's gonna train, but the boy cuts the chatter and tells them to move out. Cutting over to the bandit hideout, the place is hidden between some isolated rocks. By the campfire, the crew lists their stolen loot and complains about the slow business. The gang leader, standing next to a girl, warns them that any loot is pure profit for the group. Then he reveals the grand plan, stacking power to go back home and solo a certain dragon. Some goons show up carrying heavy chests, grumbling that the lock is too tough to bust. Tossing the crates on the camp dirt, they make a massive wooden crash. For a few seconds, the stuff just sits peacefully on the grass looking perfectly normal. Out of nowhere, the wooden objects start shaking non-stop. And that's where it gets crazy. The boxes grow legs and sprint right out of the camp. Hiding under the crate, the MC says luck was on their side, but Faye tells him to shut up. The allies wanted to rush straight in, but the guy points out there's way too many enemies on patrol. One of the guards glances over, wondering if those boxes were already sitting there. Luckily, the dude just brushes it off and our boy stays locked in ninja mode. Slapping their crate, a huge guy says the goal is throwing the dragon over to the humans. To make things worse, this cocky scumbag decides to use the MC's box as a stool, but then the brute freezes with a wicked pain face and starts screaming his lungs out. Turns out the maniac was so heavy he ended up crushing all the wood. Sprawled on the ground, the guy is completely lost while another shouts that it's empty inside. And guess what? Faye is still crouching in the middle of the trash, staring at the transformed MC. With the snake on her shoulder, the warrior peeks through the holes to map out targets in the area. You can see dozens of sketchy goons scattered all around the giant bonfire. Up front, the leader holds the magic item, planning to trade it for weapons on the black market. The catch is, a rookie warns him that the market got wiped off the map by some cracked fighter. Furious, the big boss demands the maniac's name, while our boy's shadow looms right behind him. Our kid confirms the target and tells Faye to sweep the rest of the map real quick. Wasting no time, she shatters the wooden floors a heavy hitter with a colossal strike. She grabs the next guy, losing it as she yells that these scumbags stole all the good food. Full of rage over their greed, she delivers a massive punch that completely wrecks the bandit's face. Within seconds, the ground turns into a carpet of taken down enemies right at the warrior's feet. The leader shakes in his boots, accusing the snake demon of bringing the so-called smasher along. Except our snake version hero is already standing there holding the artifact, looking super chill. Panicking, the boss sprints toward him, crying his eyes out and playing the victim. And no one saw that coming. The villain's own girlfriend attacks him from behind out of nowhere. Stepping on her ex, the girl calls him trash and says she was already sick of this little game. She turns to the MC holding the little pouch, asking if this is what he wants so badly. This crazy chick tries to sweet-talk our boy, offering a pretty bold deal to hand it over. Giving zero mixed signals, Gron turns into purple lightning and bodies the traitor with a cracked strike. The rest of the crew is stunned by the beatdown, but a good chunk already raises their shields. Deep in the back, Faye blocks a rain of attacks, pulling up a heavy-duty defense. Gron notices her mark, now lets the warrior attack and defend at the exact same time. Smiling, he announces he's giving out a free lesson using tricks from the Royal Academy. Right then, a tiny snake bites his partner, and the MC mentions he just transferred his power vision. Boxed in completely, his friend gets the tip to follow this flow so she can hit way harder. He makes it clear he's only helping at the start, demanding she switches up her fighting style. Finally, the Bone Smasher gets the lesson and gears up for the real show. Using her shield, the warrior releases a wave of light and shouts out the skill name. And holding her spear, she flashes a huge smile saying that learning this is awesome. Securing the item, our boy announces the mission is done and tells them to clear out. The scene quickly cuts to little Sulla passed out asleep right next to the food. Down in the basement, the MC explains that the relic is fragile and only works one time. Doubling down on the warning, he tells his friend she needs to focus right on the moment they fell. Then the guy presses the shell to his chest, unlocking this mysterious energy. She nods along, confirming she's all set for this memory dive. Right after that, the warrior gets sucked completely inside that artifact, leaving nothing but a tiny puff of smoke right where the woman was standing. All of this happens while our MC warns her not to snoop around where she shouldn't. Inside the kid's mind, Faye gets curious about what exactly he might be hiding. Instantly, a giant statue rises from the water out of nowhere, leaving her stunned. This creepy visual shows the stone figure with a thick rope tied right around its neck. Faye figures out it's the god of mercy, remembering her friend's good heart. He appears as a spirit, letting her know he runs things here while telling her to chill. But out of nowhere, that entire landscape turns into pure, absolute chaos. Our MC's avatar just gives her the simple commands to push forward. Sprinting fast, the warrior charges full speed toward that massive structure. Soon enough, she spots some bizarre energy piercing straight through a suit of armor. As she watches the fallen warriors, she realizes this is Glon's point of view at the very end. The old sword carrying Sulla's name shatters into 1,000 pieces in the dark. That memory shows our boy giving into the darkness, completely helpless. Faye scans every single detail of this vision with a super serious locked-in expression. At that exact second, a villain triggers a power announcing he's going with the backup plan, and the cracked technique reveals itself as the dreaded cruelty reincarnation, explaining right after that he's going to transfer his soul into a top-tier body. The magic glitches out, making the voice freak out and beg for more time to finish the spell. Connecting the dots, she figures out they came back because of this unstable power. She glances to the side, recognizing a white-haired woman and dropping her name, Suvka. The camera focuses on the face of their old comrade taken down in the middle of the battlefield. Everything hints to the mystery voice that, even if it stops, the plan is going to give some payback. With a wicked tone, it states for a fact that I'll keep living in this world. And just like that, everything changed. If the squad came back, the Demon Emperor is here too. Shattering the illusion like glass, a voice warns her that this memory has reached its end. Trapped in an all-red space, she tries to find the exit so she can warn the kid ASAP. The area suddenly morphs into a complete nightmare with signs of destruction everywhere. Someone calls out from the deep offering an exit, and the woman asks if it's the hero speaking. The voice confirms it, while a kid's silhouette shows up from afar in the fog. But the real MC screams in her mind, telling her not to look because it's all a trap. Faye completely freezes, lost and having no clue who the heck is talking to her right now. High in the dark sky, a gigantic shadow monster with a wicked grin starts taking shape. The beast opens up this massive jaw full of teeth, ready to swallow the woman whole. Except our boy's spirit acts fast, grabbing the creature's jaws with his bare hands. Roaring with all his might, he orders his friend to get out of that place this exact second. Luckily, she manages to escape the kid's mind by the absolute skin of her teeth. Snapping back to reality, the warrior takes a deep breath and asks what kind of monster that was. He cuts the topic off, promising to explain later, and asks if she found anything useful. The answer is heavy, revealing the villain pulled power from the Demon King's shoe. Boiling with anger on the spot, the kid slams a violent punch right into the table, swearing to beat down the Emperor fueled by pure rage. Faye warns they gotta find this guy's new body fast, or it's game over. Their chart shows how this king sits right at the top of the monster food chain. Right then, she freezes up, remembering something, catching our boy off guard. Taking the hint, he asks flat out what happened to Sovka. With a nervous laugh, the woman admits she didn't even see the girl's final moments in the chaos. Desperate to change the topic, she pulls little Sala away to help make dinner, but our MC shuts that down instantly, telling her not to dodge the question. Looking dead serious, he demands to know the truth about their friend right now. She drops her head, looking super down, lost for words. Clearly hurting, she tries to figure out how to drop such heavy news. Flashing back, the scene shows a couple walking home super happy from fishing. Next thing you know, they bump into two people resting around a campfire. Only a giant knight blocks their path, leaving the duo wondering why. This guard claims the guy is married, but our MC jokes about getting rejected. Spotting the missing number on the MC's face, Sovka questions him about it. She explains that when the hero accidentally takes lives, this mark shows up. Adding that the sign only fades when he's happy, our boy just nods along. The girl points out how seeing his buddy Morovia again really brought him a sense of home. Moving on, she praises Faye, bragging about how fast they became besties. She swears hanging around the younger warrior means 0 sad days. Then turning to the guy, his companion asks how he's feeling himself. Feeling slightly embarrassed, the kid bluntly admits she makes him super happy too. Back in the present, the warrior warns their friend's fate might have been different. He catches the dark hint, realizing it's just another heavy burden to carry. Furious, our hero turns to the paper on the wall, glaring with pure hatred at the boss. Squeezing his hand against the drawing, he makes the wood crack under the pressure. And that's where it gets crazy. He crumbles the map, swearing payback for all that pain. Miles away in the village, some poor dude gets dragged like trash through the flames. A nasty centaur demon brags about his twisted workout routine to get buff. We see the human acting as a live weight, taking a relentless beating. Hugging his little girl, the dad tries to calm her down, promising help is coming. But the huge monster laughs, yelling he's gonna step on the gas even harder now. Hitting top speed, the dad screams in agony but refuses to let go of his kid. Out of nowhere, a white-haired girl appears, looking pretty sad at all that suffering. The dad stares at the unknown girl with a look of pure panic, completely clueless. Meanwhile, the centaur keeps trotting, completely unaware of the girl behind him. Stopping dead in its tracks, the beast curses, furious to see what happened. Now the little girl is holding the rope one-handed, stopping the horse by force. Sumulus pisses off the demon crowd for ruining their sadistic little game. Apologizing to the fallen human, she says sorry for taking so long to wake up. She promises to give him final rest, putting the poor guy to sleep in a blink. Shedding heavy tears, the kid reveals herself as the Grand Demon Emperor Sumulus. The reincarnated villain stares at the broken victim in the middle of it all. At that moment, a bunch of huge monsters surround the girl with heavy weapons. Everyone is stunned when she asks why they became so cruel. Flat out, she states she created them to clean up mistakes, not to torture folks, making it clear that enjoying this just adds even more weight to their sins. The centaur ignores her and lunges, telling the little girl to shut up and disappear, but the girl unleashes her OP power, and a devastating blast wipes the floor with all of them. Nothing's left on the battlefield but broken weapons and dust everywhere. Taking a breath, she reflects that the battle from 5 years ago was unforgettable. She admits to seeing the boy's true feelings during their fusion. The connection laid bare everything he kept hidden deep in his soul. Sadly, she realizes it was way too late for the hero to understand her heart. Thinking about it, she believes if they had just talked, they could be great friends today. Right then, a warrior comes running in, blaming herself for being late. Except she freezes instantly, seeing that wild trail of destruction. Slowly turning around, Sumulus stares at the lady standing there in complete shock. Dropping her sword, the warrior walks up to the girl and calls her daughter. She hugs the kid in tears, begging for forgiveness for not being there sooner. Through heavy tears, she vents about how human suffering never seems to end. The camera focuses on a glowing blue eye, ending the scene with heavy mystery. She reappears wounded by a sword, yet keeping a freezing cold glare. Falling to her knees, the mom is completely desperate seeing the girl like this. Soon after, the little one collapses, already gone with the weapon in her chest. Man, right at that moment, evil eyes summon the authority of sin. This sinister entity warns that the world is in desperate need of saving. He tells his partner he's gonna take steps to stop the villain, hoping Fenling, the Queen of Silence, might have some super useful tips. He explains their friend Spot's lies, and the Queen is a fair person, making it clear their goal is to wipe out the demons and crush the evil, and adding that the hunt only ends when the very last enemy hits the dirt. Faye snaps him out of his trance, asking why he's spacing out. Playing it off, the kid says his mind just wandered for a sec. He looks for flat ground, prompting his partner to ask what the plan is. Right away, our hero replies he's gonna take those preventive measures he promised, swearing to summon a vampire knight to warn the humans. Shocked, Faye says she's never seen a legendary monster like that up close. Without hesitation, the MC makes a cut on himself to draw out his own power. Channeling his energy, he starts tracing a massive summoning circle. 2 hours later, the boy mentions it's been years since his last attempt. His friend asks to be woken up when the creature drops in, then goes to sleep. Doubting the whole thing, Sulla thinks winged vampires are just ghost stories. But a sudden noise spooks the little girl in the middle of that pitch black. She freezes in fear, looking exactly like she just saw a ghost. Seeing just a bat flying by, the girl breathes a sigh of relief for nothing. This is where it gets good. A massive, sinister spear appears right in her face. Poor thing lets out a scream of pure terror seeing that creepy sight. Collapsed on the ground, she yells desperately, begging her uncle for help. This creature wears pitch black armor, dripping some weird liquid. Then a firm voice warns he didn't summon him to just scare everyone. Giving off a dark aura, the MC orders the beast to focus on the mission. The vampire fires back that whoever knew this formation kicked the bucket a long time ago. Right after, he questions how the heck they learned to pull off that ritual. Spotting the red flags, Faye realizes the big back doesn't look like an ally, and her partner agrees. Annoyed, the monster threatens to beat the answers right out of them. Our boy mocks him, saying a language teacher would give him an 80. Adding that aside from the pretty speech, the beast isn't impressive at all. The creature completely freezes, screaming in shock, unable to believe its eyes. Grun then throws it in his face that the vampire Valen already failed his class. He completely loses it, trying to process if the guy standing right there is actually his master. Taking off his helmet, the vampire recognizes the figure and calls him Professor Gron. A quick flashback shows the massive academy castle where it all started. Little Valen is pinned to the ground, begging them not to hurt his hands. But that scumbag Nordell walks up with a burning hot stone asking why. Tears streaming down, the kid tries making a threat about telling his mom. Sarcastically, the villain warns that only moms from normal families actually care, questions what that has to do with anything, and presses the glowing rock right into the poor guy's hand. With a wicked smile, the bully warns that now it's the other hand's turn. The scene focuses on the youth's hand being hurt by the boiling object. Suddenly, Ron pops up and crushes the attacker's wrist with OP strength. Staring down the bully, he warns that next time his parents will need a shovel. This clown starts crying, saying a lowly teacher shouldn't have that much authority. Without an ounce of pity, our MC tosses the entire gang right out the window. Valen watches it all with a smirk, thinking his master's badass vibe is the greatest. As soon as the guy turns around, the student reaches out asking him to wait. Blocking his path, other teachers show up and won't let the kid run after the hero. He stretches his arm out feeling frustrated, realizing he didn't even get to drop a thank you. Right then the door slams in his face, leaving the boy super bummed out. Two students peek into the auditorium packed with 1,000 people, their jaws hitting the floor, explaining the whole thing. They mention this master is the lone legend out there slicing up demons. The room is packed to the brim with folks dreaming of becoming heroes and hunting down some monsters. One of the kids points out that even the princes showed up to watch the training. Rumor has it the MC even kicked a rich dude out of the room for stealing someone else's spot. Walking through the garden, Valen feels super bad for not being able to repay the favor. Out of nowhere, this weird magic plant sprouts up and tightly traps the boy for good. Nordell shows up again, demanding he lure Gron right into a heavy trap. Strung up upside down, the kid holds his ground and tells the bully to get lost. The scumbag is left speechless seeing his victim finally grow a backbone. He squeezes the vines even tighter, promising to grind down every single bone in the boy's body nice and slow. Despite the pain, Valen swears to himself he is not betraying his hero teacher. Bleeding out, the kid tries triggering his talon seal to break free. And just like that, everything changed. Our MC rips through the plants and saves the guy. Impressed, he gives the student props for tanking all that damage. Down on the ground, the kid tries warning him about the danger, asking where the bullies went. Gron just smirks, points up at the sky, and says the little gang will be dropping by soon. And wouldn't you know it, the camera pans to the gang flying through the air out of nowhere. They smash into the dirt with a brutal impact that really isn't pretty to look at. Valen talks trash, joking that their parents are gonna need a massive shovel for the leftovers. The hero calls the kid to class, telling him to become their enemy's worst nightmare. He tries to say thanks, but the master warns he's got better things to focus on. Walking together, the student offers a pie, and the teacher takes the strawberry one. Back in the present, Valen takes on the mission to warn everyone about the incoming mess. Faye breaks it down for Sulla, explaining their targets are Emperor Hoya and Yuha of the Torrent. An epic silhouette of Emperor Hoya shows up on screen looking like a living legend. And right after that we see this Yuha guy, the most cracked warrior from the northern lands. That giant bat warns them Yuha actually retired, making the MC sigh since he wanted a rematch. Without wasting a second, our boy tells the vampire to hit the road and save time. Opening giant red wings, the pupil swears he won't fail the mission. With a massive leap, he vanishes flying super fast through the woods. Solo waves goodbye to the giant mosquito while the MC locks his focus on hunting the Emperor. Next morning, our guy packs his bags and grabs some jars, completely confusing Faye. He figures if he can't get the boss right now, he'll just teach the henchman a brutal lesson. Catching on, the warrior looks at her friend, feeling relieved and wanting to heal him for good. The monsters are gossiping about the dude who tied with their boss, but one guy just laughs it off. This clown is already eyeing the throne, except a goblin speaks up saying someone is coming. Fear grips the entire squad as they spot a mysterious figure getting closer. Our boy just floats right past him, putting their leader on major high alert. Seeing a hand coming straight at his face, the big monster tries to beg, but the kid's hand grips the beast's face, grabbing him right by the eye. With zero mercy, the MC lifts the leader up by his face right in front of the horses. Already riding high, he demands an open path for the arrival of this desert Fang Lord. The vice boss drops the news that Bonecrusher will be laying low for a while. Flashing a sinister smile, the guy orders them to set up a farewell party for the boss. He instantly clocks that the villain is a massive kiss-ass, and this stunt will expose everyone. Actually, the leader thinks the vice captain is a joke, but the goblin reminds everyone who runs the yard. Desert Fang wipes the floor with his rival's ego, banning the guy from ever picking up a weapon again. Watching this, our boy figures this parasite is actually useful for controlling the troops for free. One lackey speaks up, warning that this little party breaks the rule about saving resources. Super pissed off, the vice captain spits on the servant, asking if he's trying to school his own master. Turning to the MC, he notices the kid hasn't lowered his head and gives him a chance. But the hero, just wiping his mouth, stares the monster down and orders him to kneel. The pale dude tells him to chill, faking pity about seeing the kid's head hit the hard dirt. Right on cue, a henchman dumps a huge pile of trash right in front of the MC. With an evil smirk, the beast tells our boy to drop to his knees right in the middle of it. Everybody in the horde bursts into laughter, just waiting to see the kid get clowned. Whispering threats, the creep warns he's gonna snitch on the guys straight to the boss. He calls the MC a toad, flexing hard about his boss's OP power level. On top of that, he asks if the kid went mute from sheer panic. Grabbing the guy's neck, he tries forcing the kid face first into the dirt, and no one saw that coming. Our boy easily tosses the dude straight up into the air. Desert Fang goes flying, planting his face right in the middle of all that trash. Stuck laying there, the beast screams in pure rage after taking such a humiliating L. Faye rolls up holding another henchman by the collar, demanding to know what this mess is all about. The scumbag runs over to his boss, begging her to punish the brat with zero mercy. Pointing at our hero, he celebrates what he thinks is the end of the line for the boy. But the warrior just ignores his whining and drives a drill straight through his leg. Collapsed on the ground, the monster cries, asking why his own boss just attacked him. With a golden aura flaring up, she warns him he'd better start digging his own grave. She commands the whole squad to kneel before the MC and only get up once he's gone. The whole crew is speechless, realizing our boy must be some massive big shot around here. Wounded, the pale dude heavily regrets messing with the wrong guy, feeling like pure garbage. He decides to lay low to make up for his massive screw-up while the team hits the road. Faye mentions the Queen of Silence despises the Emperor, so she should definitely lend a hand. Over the sound of galloping horses, the squad picks up serious speed down the dirt trail. Riding towards the sun, they go after Fenling, one of the 5 great leaders. The camera cuts to the capital of the Eternal Court, floating up in the sky looking super epic. Deep inside the castle, Shu brags about pulling off the first step of his grand reform. He drops a wild line saying civilization actually rules the world, not just brute force. Shu pitches the idea of demons worshipping the emperor like a god to build up faith. Backing that up, Agricola agrees that fallen folks can be more useful than living ones. Without missing a beat, Udra supports the plan, telling the crowd to grab their weapons. Manhattan complains about the boss's hypocrisy, grumbling that the easy times are done. Super triggered, Fenling declares this isn't her problem and bounces from the meeting. The leader gets where the queen is coming from, promising not to force her away from traditions, hoping she'll soon realize the whole scheme isn't just about wiping out the humans. Instead, it's about finding a way to bring innovation to the entire world. Leaving the crew behind, the queen walks far away from the leader's chamber. Right away, Shu orders the rest of the gang to keep the meeting going. Meanwhile, horses gallop at a crazy pace, kicking up a massive dust cloud. Our hero crosses no man's land, riding deep into the territory of cruelty. Pushing forward without rest, the team braves the heavy wind, slamming their capes. Valen has been flying for days straight just to drop the warning about the big bad's return. Tearing to the sky, he heads directly for the grand human war capital. Soon enough, a ZIP greets the giant bat, who demands some food before facing the king. Peeking through the gap, the monster gets ready to stand before Emperor Hoya. He thinks back on the king's cruel reputation, trying to figure out his true colors. Greeting him, the ruler checks if this guy is actually the famous Valen. Hoya mentions hearing good things, acting bummed out about missing the ceremony. Then he invites the guy to a feast, taking full advantage of the surprise visit. Digging the vampire's honesty, he orders the visit jotted down in the White King's book. That specific book holds all the glories, while the Black Book is just for epic fails. Joking around with the minister, the monarch shows Valen that he's actually super chill. Valen brings up the villain situation, but the emperor would rather chat over a meal. In a flash, the big bat cleans his plate and starts delivering the full report. Explaining that Yua can't take on the boss yet, he asks for the warrior's location. Hoya drops the intel that the guy's been training secretly on an island for over 3 years. Promising action, the king swears to send a secret agent with the message straight to Yuha. Right on cue, a servant announces a spy, but the ruler tells Valen to stick around. Trying to be helpful, Minister Heine even offers to escort the vampire to his room. Except Valen suspects this shady spy, and Hoya points out that the job is a very human thing. Limerstor strolls in carrying reports, bragging about how he easily bodied some rookies. Spotting Valen, the big guy freezes up instantly and demands to know why he's there. The emperor figures this is the perfect chance to introduce the two of them. Calling Valen a vassal, he presents Limersdorf as his top-tier special agent. He's slightly shook seeing a monster serving the king, but just swallows his pride. Limersdorf mentions he'll sort the paperwork and take his new coworker to rest. Out in the hallway, the big guy drops the truth that loyalty is a joke here, it's strictly business. Making it crystal clear he just wants a solid sponsor to secure the bag in this crazy war. With some gold bars in hand, he asks if Monster Money spends any differently. The vampire stays dead silent, listening to the mercenary admit he doesn't care about the war at all. Right on the spot, he confesses his only plan is getting rich and bailing far away. Valen starts wondering if this massive ego is the real price of demon evolution. Brushing off the insult, the big guy claims that's way better than acting like a hypocrite. He points out how that attitude sounds just like Gron telling the giant bat to cut the nonsense. Having zero filter, he questions if Gron was actually a good guy or just lacked personal desires. The mercenary wraps up the chat, trying to guess what dark secrets the master kept hidden. Even worse, he suggests the grand hero might have been lying to himself the entire time. Completely furious, Valen summons a wheel of red energy blades aimed right at the mercenary. Glaring at the scumbag, the knight warns him to think real carefully before speaking again. The guy backs off instantly, swearing it's just a theory while praising the master's heavy hatred. Demanding an answer, Valen listens as the spy drops a hint that the hero might still be kicking. Back in no man's land, the crew takes a quick break so the horses can grab some water. Our boy calculates a 15-day trip while Faye celebrates the total lack of bandits. Still, the warrior warns against dropping their guard, and the hero brings up Sulla's seal. Sulla explains she just forges metal super fast, almost like she's getting some secret backup. Noticing she uses the gift by accident, the hero offers to teach her the basics. He explains that the marked heart generates an energy that flows through her whole body. Next up, he lists the 4 basics of the technique: control, boost, blast, and shape. The guy mentions using control to punch straight through an enemy's chest barehanded. Shifting power to the eyes, he reveals it buffs her sight and even unlocks heat vision. On top of that, he points out how Faye used the boost to make her body hard as a rock. Our MC gives a solid example showing how he forms a shield around himself using shape. Mixing it all together, he combines the techniques to blast energy snakes from a massive distance. Then, he tells Sulla to focus on control, but the kid completely panics and gets scolded. Pouting a bit, the girl zeroes in on her power, making her tiny hand glow with pure energy. Loving the result, the master confirms her cracked talent and tells her to grip the hammer. He whines that channeling energy into the tool works, but the impact is way lower. Still, he makes sure to point out that weapons forged from that special steel are a massive exception. Hyped up, he orders the kid to focus the energy into her hand to build a solid defense. Shaking with fear, she asks if he'll hold back the punch just in case her shield breaks. And, with a creepy smile, he just casually mentions he'll heal her arm after it snaps. The guy strikes with zero holding back, and the girl pushes hard to block it with her bare fist. Despite the heavy impact, Sulla holds her ground perfectly, kicking up a massive dust cloud. Out of nowhere, a bright little smoke trail starts slipping from the kid's hand mid-block. And this is where it gets good. Her power actually shapes into tiny gold figures, fully revealing her seal. Watching this magic happen, the MC realizes human limits only truly break when things get desperate. Sulla flips out with joy over her little toy soldiers, eager for the next step in her training. Shutting down the boost idea for being way too risky, the hero tells her to practice shaping instead. Super focused, the girl notices her glowing miniatures are looking incredibly detailed now. Faye leans in for a closer look, spotting the tiny action figures climbing up the kid's shoulder. Breaking it down, the boss lady explains that the shaping skill can forge whatever your mind dreams up. Right after that, the girl spawns mini energy bows and arrows for her tiny golden army. She drops a hint about pumping in more power so they can move on their own, which takes serious grinding. Together, the two of them watch the squad build a mini fortress out of pure, glowing light. The MC mentions she's gonna trigger a super rare awakening soon to help out with her forging. Out of nowhere, the little light dudes sound the alarm about some panicked birds flying away nearby. Sensing the danger, Gran orders the campfire killed instantly, knowing something huge just pulled up. The birds scatter wildly from the canyon, proving the whole mess is practically right on top of them. From a distance, a knight claims the coast is clear, but his captain tells him to shut his mouth. Stepping back, the guard brings up how the princess is in bad shape and nobody could survive another ambush. Meanwhile, the warrior thinks it's completely wild for a noble to risk her neck out in no man's land. Our boy takes one look and instantly recognizes Yvette, the famous princess from the Ania kingdom. Remembering her badass reputation, he finds it super weird to see the girl looking so broken down. Lero, that trash enemy captain, curses out the servant, dumping all the blame for their epic fail onto her. Grumbling non-stop, he complains his family dropped serious cash just so he could flex his status at court. Pissed off, the clown takes a huge swig from his canteen, trying to drink away the disaster they just walked into. Sliding in as a shadow snake, the hero pops up and asks flat out if they're hunting for his master's arm. Back with his partner, he realizes that humans and demons really aren't built all that different. Asking if he plans to use the piece to level up his skills, the woman gets a nod of agreement. Covered in snakes, the boy's image really shows off his raw thirst for power. Heinz the scout drags the wounded, feeling like complete garbage right there in the dirt. Begging her to stay calm, he tells his ally not to blame herself since that intel was vital. Things stay super tense in the desert as the two of them are practically dropping from exhaustion. Out of nowhere, Vampire Valen steps out of the shadows and demands they hand over all their stuff. Everyone jumps at the sudden figure, asking if that guy right there is the captain. The giant bat doesn't even look back, just stating that a knight never abandons his quest. Cheering out loud, Heinz finds water and immediately shuts down anyone doubting his discovery. Right then, the princess starts coughing up blood, proving her condition is seriously critical. Losing his mind, Heinz screams Her Highness Yvette's name in a pure state of panic. The poor girl is passed out on the stretcher, her armor shattered and covered in bandages. Desperately begging for help, the scout demands a heal, but the mage is completely out of mana. Crying her eyes out, she warns that her magic seal ran dry during the fight and hasn't recharged yet. Suddenly, a voice echoes through the area, leaving the crew staring up in shock at their new visitors. Our boy and Faye are just casually strolling through the desert right toward the squad. Freaking out, the human aims his crossbow and warns everyone that a monster is in the area. Without even blinking, the kid catches the arrow midair and claims he comes in peace with zero intention to fight. Hitching a deal, the boy drops an offer that leaves the guard feeling super suspicious. He offers to heal the princess in exchange for some solid clues about that missing arm. Proving he isn't bluffing, he makes his own hand glow with raw magic. The human hesitates, feeling incredibly suspicious before finally buying into the beast's deal. Backed into a corner, he gives in and tells the demon to pull off that promised magic trick. Stepping close to the girl, Gron realizes right away that whoever messed her up wasn't playing games. Things get worse when Yvette coughs up even more blood, driving the guard completely crazy with rage. Grabbing the MC by the collar, Hines screams to know what kind of messed up healing this is. Calmly, our boy just calls the guy too loud and tells him to zip it. Pushing the dude away, he warns that fixing up those deep wounds takes time and a lot of patience. Like magic, the princess wakes up looking good as new, completely fully healed. Even she is stunned by the results, comparing that level of power to a regional king. Hines takes the chance to chew out his cowardly boss, demanding a proper apology. Standing up, Her Highness says thanks, and figures this guy actually seems pretty trustworthy. The hero instantly kills the vibe by cashing in his favor, and the girl agrees to pay up. Dropping a simple demand, he asks for the master's arm, which immediately makes her frown. She shoots him down flat, warning she'd give up the entire kingdom, but that arm is off the table. The MC tries to squeeze info out of the lackey, but the guy cuts him off, calling it a strict state secret, offering up pure riches. The guard tries tossing in any other jewel to settle the debt. Right then, the soldier remembers that sinister aura he noticed while the beast healed Her Highness. And just like that, everything changed. The MC reveals he actually poisoned the girl and drops a heavy ultimatum. Sending a chill down his spine, Hines grabs the trembling princess, completely lost after that bombshell. The noble tries acting tough, pretending the poison is weak and swearing it's just a bluff. With only 3 minutes to live, the kid forces the princess to put major pressure on her squad. Freaking out, one dude hesitates to let her expire, but the warrior on the ground screams it's a massive trap. Full of attitude, she trusts she'll catch her breath and send that enemy straight to the afterlife. The elf doubts the whole thing, but the MC throws it in their faces that royals never back down or fall for tiny bluffs. Cutting to the chase, our boy drops the bomb that the arm is actually with some guy named Folded Ear. Apparently, this lord used to be high-ranking but went rogue to dodge some heavy heat. The kid confirms that their precious confidential intel was literally just the location of the arm. Except the princess botched the heist, the beast fused with the piece, and it nearly took her out while escaping. Piecing the whole mess together, the elf asks for a location and finds out their target dipped out west. The elf catches onto the issue, blocking their path to the court, and demands he heal their ally immediately. Going for the violent route, her partner tries to snatch our boy right by the leg. He breaks loose by blasting an aura that knocks the crew away, leaving the warrior absolutely furious, pointing out that the poison was actually weak. Our boy tells Lilo to sheathe her sword. Filled with regret, the princess apologizes for trying to act like a smartass. Nearby, 2 soldiers start whispering, terrified they're about to catch a brutal punishment. Our hero just tells the girl to stand up, leaving her super confused by his chill attitude. Stepping up, he admits the whole thing was actually his fault for not explaining the plan properly. She points out that the arm isn't even the main issue, and suggests the squad takes a breather. But the vibe instantly dies when a soldier runs up screaming about hostiles in the area. Way in the back, he can spot a completely shredded flag violently waving in the wind. Lilo draws her weapons right away, getting the whole squad in formation to tank the hit. Swarming the place, a massive mob of monsters rolls up, and one guy shouts he found the boss's targets. The huge leader buffs up the crew, yelling that their boss just wants to wipe them out completely. Agreeing with Lilo to fall back, our boy points out that splitting up right now would be a fatal mistake. Way on the other side, one of the villains tells his brother he's gonna tire the heroes out first. Without any warning, this mysterious dude drops in, demanding everyone's full attention. The beast throws out some crazy riddle about a magical rooster that actually talks, demanding an answer in 3 seconds flat. He warns that getting it wrong will drain all their strength. Gron figures out the spell's trick right away, while the little girl completely panics. But the archer tries taking a shot only for Lila to immediately order him to stop. Mocking them hard, the beast dodges and brags about being protected by his stronger brother. Completely confident he's invincible, the big guy celebrates and orders the entire horde to push forward. At that moment, the beast army charges the squad looking completely bloodthirsty. The heroes freeze up in pure fear watching that ocean of monsters getting closer by the second. And that's where it gets crazy. The elf steps up glowing purple and scolds the terrified team. In the blink of an eye, some dark magic sweeps the battlefield and vaporizes the entire horde. Her hair turning completely platinum, she unleashes a cracked amount of power right in the middle of the chaos. Barely able to process it, Lilo stands there with her jaw on the floor. Popping up right in front of the noble, she jokes that this was just a freebie for their new alliance. She calls for a giant raid against the Lord, letting everyone know the arm belongs to her. Right in the middle of the chat, another massive purple explosion wipes out the remaining monsters in the back. Reaching the 3rd tier of her hidden power, the warrior soon draws out even more strength. The girl herself is stunned, mentioning she didn't even know it was possible to get this OP. Fueled by pure rage, the giant villain unleashes a nasty sandstorm to pin the elf down. Meanwhile, the riddle guy asks for the names of the fingers to try and mess with her head. Counting down 3 seconds, the girl just hits the enemy with a dead cold stare. Completely unbothered, she casually opens her mouth and answers that it's the 4th bone. The beast bursts out laughing, thinking she completely failed since it should be the ring finger. Right on cue, the trap fires a disgusting yellow larva straight at her. Except the elf summons an ancestral serpent, unlocking that totally broken heat vision. Using the skill, she easily tracks the mage's trail right through all that thick dust. Without an ounce of mercy, she fires a beam from her mouth that instantly obliterates the target. Stepping on the fallen enemy, she drops the cold truth that as she said 4th bone, then that's the final answer. Our boy is completely blown away by the beatdown, wondering if he messed up by crossing her earlier. Watching from a distance, the leader gets pretty salty seeing that new warrior's raw brute strength. Quickly flaring up his mana, he threatens to end the elf right on the spot. A massive stone barrier suddenly bursts from the ground to try and block the girl's advance. Full of pure arrogance, the big monster promises to put on a real show while taking her out. But things get real spicy when the wall's defenses start launching giant arrows. Shrugging off the attack, the elf just shatters the entire structure with a single punch. After all that damage, the girl turns her back without a single care for the wreckage. The squad completely panics, but the warrior thinks that moving city is just a sad joke. Soon enough, the stone fortress plows through the sand like a bulldozer straight toward them. Up top, the villain summons his other 2 brothers to finally join the brawl, ordering the whole crew to surround them. He makes sure none of the heroes can escape. With a massive leap, the colossal brother lands hard, making the entire ground shake. Super annoyed, the giant beast grumbles they shouldn't have woken him up just to step on ants. Catching the insult, Lilo repeats the word, practically foaming with rage at the disrespect. Spotting the panic, Gron asks if the princess is ready to strike and save the squad. Right on cue, the elf drops her power and tells everyone to just chill out. Man, right at that moment, Lilo bursts with light, asking who the real ant is now. Rocking that crack buff, she simply bodies one of the giant monsters with a single punch. In a flash, the princess charges in, beating the villains down with pure brute force. The warrior gives props for the strike, and the MC happily recalls teaching her that move in class. Through a heavy rain of arrows, the noble proves she's fast enough to dodge it all effortlessly. Meanwhile, up on the wall, the enemy guards get the order to fire with everything they've got. Completely unbothered, Lilo grabs the heavy body of a golem she just knocked out. Showing zero mercy, she hurls that massive stone frame straight at the enemy tower. The beast flies exactly like a meteor, landing a direct hit on the gang's boss. Staring defeat in the face, the villain freezes up in pure panic, unable to even blink. To cap it all off, Lilo turns into a giant made of light right on top of him. Completely shattered, the monster's face twists in pure despair down on the dirt. With one massive glowing slash, the princess tears that stone structure right in half. Right before the dust settles, her partner points out a new threat flying in from the sunset. Glancing at the horizon, the shadow of a massive dragon appears, blocking out the light. Right after that, the silhouettes of 2 beasts cross the sky directly above our heroine. Catching on to the danger, the warrior watches as the elf celebrates not becoming lizard dinner. Once the beast disappears, the squad finally exhales but keeps their weapons drawn. Finally, the glowing princess agrees to the deal and officially calls them all partners. Sealing this fake truce, both sides are already scheming a way to snatch the relic. Once night falls, the crews set up separate camps, proving their trust levels are at zero. Over on the monster side, the elf shares dinner with a little blonde girl in dead silence. Meanwhile, the human squad tries to relax and warm up around their own campfire. Warning his team to watch out for backstabbing, the hero decides to pay the neighbors a visit. As he gets closer to the light, Gron keeps a close eye on that highly mysterious new girl. Nearby, some guards complain about the truce, bringing up the legendary Mervin of Ainea. One dude mentions the guy is his idol, wishing he had that exact same clean combat style. But the focus shifts when somebody asks the little demon for a piece of cheese. Rejecting the request, the kid explains that treat was the last special gift from her mom. Without even blinking, our MC pops up right behind the intruder, demanding a name. Sizing the weirdo up, he flat out asks if this person happens to be a monster. The mystery figure simply flips the hood back, revealing blue hair and laughing to confirm it's true. Looking completely confused, the kid turns to the warrior next to him, wondering if she's an ally. Except nobody even gets time to answer because the vibe suddenly shifts in a heavy way. And wouldn't you know it, the intruder draws two massive swords glowing right in the dark. Flexing a cracked sword technique, the enemy disarms the guards in the blink of an eye. Pure chaos takes over the camp as everyone screams in pain from the sudden ambush. Trying to process it all, his partner freezes up, but Gron immediately recognizes that fighting style. Finally stepping into the firelight, the figure reveals himself as the dreaded Merovin. Standing over the fallen guards, Merovin's shadow actually reveals a freaky tail as he steps back. Furious over this cheap shot, Lilo draws her blade ready to strike back, but the villain cuts her off, calling the girl the ninth princess and announcing a kidnapping. Down on the dirt, the snack the little girl loves so much gets tossed into the mess. Recognizing the fearless knight's technique, the warrior quickly calls their new allies for backup. Our boy tells the squad to hold up, figuring they can sort this whole thing out by talking. And that's where it gets crazy. Time basically freezes as the two lock eyes before the brawl. Holding his ground, the MC locks onto his opponent, looking as dead serious as it gets. Merovin doesn't back down, returning that heavy glare with a face covered in deep scars. Smirking a bit, the beast mentions he finally figured out who that aura belongs to. He just calls the kid Faya and the ally Gruner, leaving the princess completely lost. Gruner grumbles that this guy sucks at recognizing people, sounding just like an old friend. Out of nowhere, the elf screams a warning because the swordsman is already charging in full speed. Except a purple explosion completely blocks the strike, proving our hero was just faking a parley. Summoning the Dragon of Eternal Night, the guy asks if the enemy could just make this easy. Backed by the massive beast, our boy stares down the rival, who immediately tells the dragon to move. Merovin pushes forward, screaming at the kid to look at his face and remember 5 years ago. Flexing those deep scars, he claims the whole untouchable knight legend is just a massive joke. Even worse, the guy dumps the entire blame for his messed up state right on the hero's shoulders. Stepping up with a glowing shield, his partner tells the crazy dude to check his emotions. But the villain just laughs it off, dodging the block and smoothly chaining into a counterattack. Busting out that fluid strike, he tags everyone, saying he just wants to rack this mission up fast. Gruner drops down wounded, and our boy notices the enemy looks practically hypnotized mid-fight. Fists glowing bright, his ally promises to wake the swordsman up with a solid beatdown. Yet the villain swears he's fully awake, triggering that white mist tower technique. The blast hits the elf point blank, shattering his shield and sending the poor guy flying. Realizing the target is using a vanishing mist, our MC watches Lilo tell the noble to stay close. To spot the creep faster, the MC triggers his heat vision without missing a beat. Acting fast, he fires a highly precise blast of flames right at his opponent. Except the shot just hits the dirt, making the kid realize it was a cheap distraction. He figures out the guy cooked up a trap, while the warrior looks completely lost in the smoke. Right then, the kid asks for the elf's new spells, prompting him to summon a massive suit of armor. One guard practically begs for a heal, but the wounded little girl just cries, unable to focus. And no one saw that coming. A blade actually pierces the poor girl's shoulder, forcing a loud scream out of her. Popping up right behind her, Merovin claims he only disarmed everyone to prevent the worst, telling them to chill. A thick ring of fire traps them all, starting to melt through everyone's shields on the spot. Staring down his victims, the villain trash talks their defense until a soldier recognizes his face. That guy completely explodes with rage, screaming about how a monster dares to use that name. Staying furious, he swears he will never forgive the enemy for disrespecting his ultimate idol. Merovin claps right back, pointing out that this great legend died being known as just the second. even throwing it in his face that the title of first belonged strictly to the prince, with zero chance for real merit. Deep down, the villain feels the monster rule based entirely on raw strength is way more fair. After all, if a dude gets strong enough, he can straight up become the next demon emperor. Suddenly, the hero's dragon attacks, sweeping the ground with its tail and knocking them far away. Never slowing down, the dark creature continues its low-altitude dive right after that brutal strike. Looking from above, the squad watches the shield barrier tanking that massive fire hurricane. Our boy gives the princess a heads up. If that maniac drops his guard midair, she needs to strike. And just like that, everything changed. The beast dives from the sky right into the trap to shatter his defense. Without hesitating for a second, Lilo triggers her power, morphing her sword into a colossal blade. Immediately, the warrior launches that giant weapon like a heavy missile straight at the beast. The huge beast dodges the strike, while the enemy talks trash, calling it a noob move. Even wounded, the lizard's eye glows bright, proving it won't back down one bit. Activating his quick dash, our boy vanishes from the map like a pure blur. With crack speed, he leaves a lightning trail right across the dirt. Finally, the kid pops up right in the dragon's face to intercept the strike on the spot. Landing a direct hit, he completely halts the magic creature. The spy's lens reflection shows the beast getting erased by the MC's heavy blow. Hidden on a cliff, a hooded old man admits kidnapping the noble is gonna be tough. Meanwhile, the kid just stands there staring up at the night sky. Gruner finds the villain's sudden retreat highly weird, but the boy reveals it was all an act. Connecting the dots about the scarred face chat, he instantly knew it was a secret code. Far away, a woman asks a blonde guy if that sick cut on his face hurt. The youth replies it was worth it, since the first night couldn't have a clean face. She even suggested he do it himself, but the cocky dude thinks it only counts in battle. Staring at his reflection, the guy proudly declares he wants everyone's recognition. With a smile on his face, he closes his eyes, except that peace doesn't last long at all. Gruder pops up out of nowhere, healing the guy's stylish mark while asking about the captain. The blonde turns to the elf, who immediately scolds him for leaving the cut untreated. Seeing the cut vanish, the dude completely flips out, smashing the mirror and crying over his lost cool mark. Back in the present, Gron explains his partner signaled a spy, so they had to put on a show. Asking about the signal, the leader listens to the elf grumble about how much that cut hurt. Gunnar thinks his friend lost his mind, but the boy promises he'd never be a lackey. Far off, the masked henchman tells the old guy the mission failed due to bad intel. The swordsman himself argues the risk was way too high and announces he's bailing. He demands 10 vials of some secret potion just to finally reach the 6th seal. Calling him a mercenary, the old man reminds him that drink is way too rare to hand out freely. Mervin pushes hard, saying no payment means no deal, but the geezer denies the 10 vials. Haggling like they're at a market, the two of them finally settle on 2 bottles. With a really sour face, the old dude just swallows his pride and agrees to the blackmail. Right then, the swordsman promises to deliver the goods and keep spying on our heroes. Over at the camp, our MC orders everyone to crash so they can travel early. Lilo walks up slowly, pulling both the elf and our boy over to the side. Sensing the weird vibe, he watches the princess finally gather the courage to spill the truth. And that's where it gets crazy. The news catches everyone off guard, leaving the whole squad in pure shock. One of the guards even bows down, feeling super grateful for the team's and the little blonde girl's help. Kneeling in the dirt, the noble confesses she's dying of embarrassment for not being able to pay. Gruner calms the lady down, letting her know everybody's main priority is grabbing that missing arm. Flashing a confident smile, the girl replies that her squad will follow their lead. Relieved, the soldiers nod along, completely ready to rest up and focus on tomorrow's challenge. Right after, the little horned princess sticks close to the MC, asking for a hand with the fire. Showing off a chill technique, she sparks a little flame with a simple finger snap. The firewood catches fast, building up a nice campfire to warm up the late night. So the fire just keeps crackling while the crew tries to relax in the pitch black. Nearby, a short-haired guard strikes up a chat with the elf about this secret water. Hiding her curiosity, Lilo pretends she's knocked out, but keeps her radar fully on. The nosy girl wants to know if the rumor about him and the Sage of Light at the Lake Village is actually true. Quietly, the MC jokes that women love gossip, and Lilo instantly tells him to shut his mouth. Gruner tries to dodge the topic by telling the lady to sleep, since the trauma there was pretty heavy. But the guy decides to just spill the beans, seeing how the girl was dying of curiosity. He recalls the team being super green when they saw that village get blasted out of nowhere. Legend says a couple kicked the bucket right at the altar and haunts the ruins to this day. Rolling up to the spot, they ran straight into the two ghosts, inviting everyone to their big day. Two souls wearing creepy masks just hovered right in front of the squad. Wasting no time, Gruner stares the beasts down and flares his aura for combat. The elf asks the Sage of Light to make a move, but the guy in white questions why. Stepping up, the sage explains the whole idea is just giving them some peaceful rest. Right away, the figure triggers the Holy Light Seal skill on the spot. That blinding golden light starts wrapping around the two spirits right there, and no one saw that coming. The monsters vanish, revealing the super happy couple from before. Gruner and his ally just stand there, watching the whole thing in dead silence. Looking to the side, the swordsman keeps a completely deadpan and serious face. On the flip side, the sage returns the stare even with that blindfold over his eyes. He walks up slowly and just casually grabs the mystic figure's hand, interlocking his fingers with hers. The vibe in the room gets super weird. Without any warning, he squeezes the sage's hand with all his strength. Man, right at that moment, Gruner draws his sword and swings a heavy strike at her. But the warrior in white doesn't even flinch, just telling the guy to drop the attack. Sheathing his weapon, he hears his partner ask if he just acted without thinking. The elf turns his face and with his eyes closed demands an apology. Completely lost, the sage asks what the guy means by that. Complaining about his personal space getting invaded, he ends up getting an apology for the slip-up. Back in the present, the hero claims it was all pure instinct, leaving Lilo speechless. Hearing that, the purple-haired warrior thinks that attitude sounds exactly like the elf. The rest of the squad, eavesdropping on the chat, highly enjoyed the whole story. Bright and early, the crew finally reaches the ruins of that city. Since the place is a massive maze, the MC decides to go in alone and tells them to wait. Inside, a giant monster announces that the test for the boss's army is about to start. Spotting the hostages, one of the henchmen asks if the leader snatched more folks from the north. His ally grumbles that it's only dudes up there, and finding what the boss wants is pure luck. Watching it all go down, our boy is already plotting to save these people after the brawl. The creeps keep laughing, talking about trading the crowd to some paid brothers. Suddenly, a guard screams for the next guy and warns it's the very last spot for today. Kicking the gate wide open, the hero walks right in heavily disguised. That place is packed with monsters, and the guy on the throne mocks a line of rookies. Mitsuha, some crazy blonde dude, brags about being the boss around there and explains the trial. Flashing an evil smirk, he warns that only true elite fighters get into the squad. Right in the middle of the crowd, a demon decides to use our boy to show off. Trying to act tough, the jerk threatens to slice the kid's ear off for free. The blonde on the throne orders everyone to shut their mouths, kicking off the selection. To test the crowd, the guy pulls out a dark orb that measures raw vitality, except he warns that high levels don't win fights and combat experience carries a lot of weight. Calling up the first guy, the examiner promises to judge everyone super fairly. He even calms the nervous dude down, saying the big boss respects pure guts. Once the test kicks off, the blonde announces the guy is level 1, making the rookie celebrate. Then things get crazy. The examiner just casually takes the poor guy out in a blink. Screaming that the rookie was pure trash, the villain finishes the candidate right there on stage. The maniac threatens the rest of the group, causing a bunch of people to try and run. Showing zero mercy, the beast attacks anyone who tried to make a break for it. One of the victims gets thrown violently against the stone wall, standing zero chance. Glaring at the remains, Mitsuha mocks the crowd, asking why they were still standing there. That demon drops from the cracked wall, completely gone. Out of nowhere, the defeated guys get mashed into this massive monstrous structure right in front of them. Gran just stands in the corner, shook, and trying to process that level of madness. Catching this, the examiner asks why the boss's bizarre creation was in the room. He orders the guards to take the beast back, demanding they be super careful. Two massive dudes pull the giant net holding that freakish thing together. Looking closely, the bizarre sight is genuinely terrifying, covered in suffering faces tangled in the ropes. Our MC frowns instantly, clearly disturbed by the whole cruel setup. Right in the middle of it all, the kid spots a highly familiar red scarf. Digging into his memory, he perfectly remembers the innocent hostages wearing that exact item. Hidden in the shadows, our boy's hatred starts boiling for real. Like it's no big deal, the blonde takes his throne and casually tells the test to continue. The villain points at the purple-haired bully, who immediately fakes a stomachache to bail. Except the MC cuts the line hard, announcing he's in a rush to wrap this up. Staring down the blonde, he asks for the rules and hears he just needs to be crazy strong. The whole crowd busts out laughing, swearing the little guy is gonna get clapped instantly. Super chill, the kid questions the orb and gets yelled at to just take the test already. Locking onto the test leader, the hero asks if the guy is actually all that powerful. That insult hits hits deep, causing the villain to flip out over having his high tier questioned. Screaming like a maniac, the crazy dude threatens the boy and demands he touch the sphere, and that's where it gets crazy. The kid draws a dagger with some completely broken speed. Without mercy, he steps up and buries the weapon straight into the cocky examiner's hand. Then, the hero grips that dark orb with all his own brute force. The blonde freezes in shock, not even letting out a peep from the surprise strike. Stepping back smoothly, the MC holds the relic like it's just a cheap toy. To finish it off, he slams the object into the floor hard, shattering the entire sphere. Lifting the villain by his neck, the guy flexes his new trophy for everyone to see. He wraps up the job by sending the creep to the afterlife with a single blow. Seeing that cold-blooded defeat gets everyone shaking, forcing the entire horde to back up. Calmly, the kid tosses the villain's leftovers right onto the mashed-up freak. Smiling, he asks about the test, and the terrified lackey screams he scored 1,000. The assistant shoos everyone back to their tents, warning them the big boss is pulling up. Once inside, our hero pulls a highly mysterious item out of his clothes. Flashing back, the scene reveals the thing is basically a magic messaging scroll. In the memory, the crew explains that the relic mirrors the message on both ends. Now in the present, the boy sends a text dropping the news of his successful mission. Back outside, his partners are sweating bullets hiding in a cave. One dude gets hyped when the ink glows on the paper, confirming the operation has started. The whole squad gathers around ready for a fight, eager to read those exact coordinates. Reviewing the plan, their goal is to study the boss and bait him into a fatal trap. Over at the enemy base, a massive guard rolls up, demanding the rookie the boss wants to see. The MC plays along with his disguise, using pure magic to write on the paper hands-free. Catching this, the assistant asks about the search, and the giant admits he felt too intimidated. Instantly, the beast bursts in, screaming for the kid to put his hands up. Without complaining, the hero strips off his shirt and tells the brute to search whatever he wants. That towering henchman hunts for any secret stash on our hero's body. Completely frustrated, he tosses the clothes back to the kid and scowls. He orders the boy to follow him to the boss's room, which our guy casually accepts. Secretly, the trick was genius. He shoved the paper right under the skin of his arm moments ago. Using raw magic, he sealed the cut and hid the note from any search. Right, and the bells of an ancient church start ringing outside. The guard announces their arrival, and the big boss immediately tells security to bounce. Instantly, our MC scans every single corner of the place with his eyes. He wonders if this is what they used his arm for, calling out to the leader, G-Air. Inside, the whole area looks like an old church, with piano music echoing off the walls. The boss himself is wildly intimidating, sitting there completely zoned in on the keys. Gliding across the keys, the guy's hands show off some cracked skills. He doesn't say a word, just standing there observing the scene. The melody flows smoothly with one human hand and one demonic hand playing together. Suddenly, the leader stops playing, turns around, and says he finally made it. He tells the MC to ignore the music, claiming he plays it to keep himself from attacking everyone. Asking the kid to chill out, he promises it's just a standard job interview. Then he asks if the rookie has any questions about the army. Shaking his head, Gron questions why he bothers holding back that fierce monster instinct. The big boss claims he tries to act civilized, right while a guard casually wipes out a prisoner nearby. He fires back that fighting your own nature is like stopping a baby from nursing. Ji-er agrees that vibe comes from the emperor, but swears he's built way different than the rest. Showing pure conviction, the leader claims he has a choice as shadows battle in the background. To break the tension, he asks if the kid recognized that song. Quickly, the boy throws a suspicious glare and claims he doesn't get human noises. And no one saw that coming. Jair attacks out of nowhere, landing a heavy punch that drops him hard. Grabbing the kid by the throat, he calls him a liar, having caught his reaction earlier. The boss keeps the pressure on, kicking off a seriously intense interrogation. He wants to know if the MC's thirst for battle is raw instinct or pure evil. Flashing a sinister smile, our boy admits it's a little bit of both. Jair checks his heartbeat, confirms he's telling the truth, and lets the kid go. Judging the boy as a slave to his nature, he roasts anyone who doesn't fight against their programming. That whole mindset sounds pathetic to him, watching someone turn submission into a passion. Right away, the MC stands up and points out the leader just wants a pawn for the dirty work. The villain then questions what he demands in exchange for that kind of loyalty. Without hesitating, our boy drives his hand straight toward the boss's chest. He swears that's the only place he can fight freely, and the leader senses real resolve in his eyes. Some bizarre energy erupts in the form of magic chains, locking the villain down. Gron slowly backs away, leaving the big guy completely paralyzed right there. Walking out of the room with a sharp glare, he shows he's already got a scheme lined up. Far away, a redhead girl pops up looking super happy while bringing flowers to her dad. She hands over the gift, all smiles, saying it completely matches his vibe. The little girl mentions she just waited patiently since she didn't want to hurt the plants. Explaining further, she says she waited for the flowers to fall naturally before picking them up. To her shock, the dad reacts by delivering a brutal slap right across the kid's face. Sent flying by the impact, the girl hears him screaming that he strictly banned her from running. Grabbing the kid angrily, he yells at her, asking if she's completely unable to follow rules. That makes our MC sick, watching the boss treat the little girl like a literal animal. Heartbroken, the girl cries, begging her dad to stop, taking all the blame herself. The dude grabs the poor thing by the chin, warning her he has one more message. This is where it gets good. He lifts the girl up and strictly forbids her from calling him dad. Coldly, the villain calls the poor kid a useless slave. Someone bursts into the room in full panic, dropping the news that a legendary dragon is incoming. Tossing the kid to the floor, he gets hyped up at the idea of fighting a dragon today. With a weak whisper, the little girl just obeys and heads back to the basement. Right after that, the boss orders them to haul our rookie back to his post. Sneaking out of the hall, the guard and the MC quietly make their exit. But our boy's completely spaced out, his mind a million miles away. He glances back, noticing the little captive walking away looking super down. High up in the sky, the mythical beast is flying around frantically searching for the princess and her old ally. GR climbs all the way up to the bell tower, geared up for the incoming fight, ripping a massive chunk of stone straight out of the building structure. With glowing eyes, the villain launches that boulder with some unbelievable power. Almost instantly, he senses this wild energy radiating from the top of the church. That massive aura just erupts from the leader, making the entire city shake in fear. Hurtling toward the beast, the giant rock forces him to go purely on the defensive, and the impact lands dead center, creating a flash that blinds everyone in the area. Sadly, the giant beast gets knocked out cold from the hit and starts plummeting from the sky. Tumbling through the clouds, the dragon realizes he just got bodied in round 1. He watches it all unfold from a distance, swearing to himself he's getting that power back. One guard tries to kiss up to the boss, only to get yelled at and told to double the patrol. Figuring it out quickly, he sees their military command structure is actually built different. During the patrol, the kid uses some shadow spikes to map out the whole area. 2 guards actually feel a tiny prick on their feet, but just brush it off like it's nothing. His shadow buddy explains the trick is way too stealthy for these guys to ever catch on. Tracking every single step the guards take, it creates a flawless radar of the entire security layout. The MC knows the boss wouldn't use obvious routes, keeping his real moves hidden, so he decides to keep spying for a few more days until a purple petal drops right on his map. Gripping the tiny leaf, our boy pauses and just thinks things over for a second. Down below, the camera cuts to little Xena's super sad, tear-filled eyes. She's still locked up in that creepy basement, tossed on top of some old hay. Suddenly, a noise comes from the door window, and the terrified little girl asks who's there. With a gentle touch, our hero offers her those discarded flowers he found earlier. Smiling right away, her face just lights up with pure joy at the gift. But the MC is kinda confused, noticing the door to this place wasn't even properly locked. Curious, he asks why she would ever call a monster like that her dad. Her innocence is honestly scary since she swears the villain is the nicest guy in the world. She defends the scumbag, actually thinking the collar is for her protection, and she only gets punished when she messes up. Wrapping his head around it, the kid is horrified by whatever awful past she must have lived through. Through a quick flashback, we see the demon was basically forced to raise the little girl for the time being. Our MC realizes she doesn't even know she's a captive, so he invites her to check out the real world. Getting super curious, she asks if the outside world is actually fun. He figures the little girl really needs a friend so she doesn't completely lose her mind. All hyped up, she begs him to tell more fun stories about the flowers. But duty calls, and our hero decides not to get too attached so things don't go south, promising to tell her a story later. He waves goodbye while the girl begs for more. The poor kid notices her necrobe is a bit loose and starts shaking, terrified of her dad. Frantically tightening the knot, she's scared out of her mind that she'll be punished if he notices. In that exact moment, we catch a glimpse of a Roman numeral mark hidden right under the bow. At the same time, the mysterious ally sends word that the princess ran off into the danger zone. He wastes zero time, announcing he's gonna go have a little personal chat with the big boss. Complaining nonstop about being tired, the wanderer uses his shadow magic to travel fast. That stealth technique lets him breach the castle and slip right into the main room. GR is just chilling and sipping wine, but instantly triggers this creepy detection radar. Without making a single sound, the kid's magic immediately picks up on that energy sweep. Calling the technique total amateur hour, our boy hides his own power inside the shadow snake. Glass in hand, the villain orders the intruder to show himself, proving he wasn't fooled at all. And just like that, a snake made entirely out of pure darkness reveals itself in the corner. Keeping his back turned, he just waits for the trespasser to finally show his real face. The floor starts bubbling up, and the shadow quickly shifts into a human shape. As he steps out, the old guy immediately roasts him, saying with a mug, "That ugly, he's gotta be Gier." floor. Still in his seat, the boss thinks it takes some serious guts to break into a lair just to trash talk the owner, but the wanderer keeps it real, saying he's only looking for the dragon and doesn't want any beef. That comment makes the monster lose his mind, absolutely furious that an intruder is making demands. With his eyes glowing, the guy screams and calls the trespasser completely disrespectful. The old man doesn't back down for a second, threatening to wipe the floor with the big guy if he tries anything funny. Suddenly, his purple lantern starts glowing, and a voice asks what all the chaos is about. Asking this so-called boss for a hand, the old man wants to clear this obstacle out of his way. Jier gets completely spooked, realizing that thing is a space-cutting treasure, and the intruder just laughs in his face, asking if he's chickening out while warning him it's game over. This is where it gets crazy. The villain flashes a sinister smile and reveals he's got one too. Completely speechless, the old guy can barely process what he's looking at. From inside a portal, a voice orders both of them to stand down, talking about friendship. This blonde dude named Matthias steps out, explaining that both of them actually work for him. Without a second thought, both of them bow instantly, showing the highest level of respect. Gran watches the whole thing and realizes Macius is the puppet master pulling all the strings behind the scenes. The Lord grabs both their hands and stacks them together in a super symbolic gesture. He calmly declares that one is his rook and the other is his bishop on the chessboard. Right in the middle of these giant chess pieces, the guy guarantees their victory is already locked in. Sucking up to him, the old man claims taking down the empire is just a matter of time now. So the boss asks if the big guy is seriously out here hunting down 4 assassins. The monster explains he put a bounty on their heads, but the blonde dude orders him to cancel it. Matthias puts a hand on his subordinate's shoulder using a tone that is anything but friendly. With a super dark look, he tells the big guy to act tame just like his previous owner promised, smiling in that creepy way of his. He politely begs the demon not to be a headache. He clenches his fist and accepts, but begs the Lord not to forget about his freedom. And the blonde guy just hits him with this ironic tone, repeating the word freedom. Pulling out a golden jewel, he acts surprised about where the previous owner even found it. With a laugh, he warns that if he crushes this piece, the other half inside the monster's head will instantly explode. That right there is his so-called freedom, asking if the beast isn't thrilled just thinking about it. Wrapping up the chat, he tells the wanderer and the dragon to just dance to his tune. Matthias tells the big guy to go check on the new servants in the castle's quarters. The old guy obeys without a single complaint and takes off, leaving the purple lantern behind in the hall. But our MC completely ignores the old dude asking for a room and decides to shadow the boss instead. Our boy dives straight into the shadows to track the villain's trail on the down low. The boss heads down this massive spiral staircase going somewhere super deep underground, peeking through a tiny crack. The MC keeps a close eye on every heavy step the guy takes. Jier comes face to face with this gross pile of victims, looking like one giant creature. He asks if it's finally time for the birth, and the bizarre creature confirms it is. Suddenly, the monster's at 8 hitches all over and spits out this red cocoon that's constantly squirming. The thing drops straight to the floor, shaking and moving in this totally freaky way. Stretching against the membrane, you can clearly see the exact shape of a hand pushing from the inside. Seconds later, a sinister claw just violently rips that cocoon open from the inside out, and a brand new demon crawls out of that slime, already kneeling down to take orders. A bunch of other cocoons just spawn out of nowhere, spitting out eyeballs all over the floor. Matthias steps up, bragging about his own method of spawning soldiers that are already OP and fully broken in. The monster horde just keeps growing, everyone on their knees waiting for the master's command. Given the mission to train the squad, the big guy steps up as the second in command. Ice cold, the Lord orders him to trash all the failed experiments from this batch. Getting all philosophical about refining demons, the vice quickly admits he doesn't get art. Back at the mansion, the blonde sips his wine, complaining about the brute having 0 class. Walking through the fancy garden, a group of orphan girls heads to the entrance completely starry-eyed, celebrating the free food except for one girl who thinks the Lord is probably some creep. Out of nowhere, Matthias shows up looking like a heartthrob and surprises one of the girls by kissing her hand. The Lord introduces himself with this flawless charm, leaving the poor girl frozen in place. Super shy, she asks if he's the kind noble, and the scumbag just smiles and nods. That leaves the others completely mesmerized, thinking this guy is a literal fairy tale prince. Rushing over to thank him, one of them even throws herself at his feet, begging to be his servant. Flashing a slight smirk, the blonde guy asks them to gather up real close, doing it without a second thought. The vibe suddenly drops and pure panic washes over their faces. Gripping the shoulder of the girl who spoke first, Matthias strikes absolute fear into her. Hit with this bizarre pain, the young girl starts screaming her lungs out. The twisted villain merges the orphans together, turning them into this terrifying living blob. All of that morphs into a creepy pigment for the Lord to use in his dark art. Lantern glowing bright, he drains this dark energy right out of that pile of victims. Heavy purple magic flows through the air, siphoning whatever soul the girls had left. Down in the cave, the Vice watches from a distance as the master enjoys this twisted ritual. Matthias tells the big guy to watch over his new little pet, since he's heading out to a ball. Flashing zero remorse, the guy vanishes, leaving 2 goons to guard the door. Taking it all in, our MC is completely stunned by that wall made of trapped souls. He actually fires off a healing spell at the bizarre mass, hoping to save at least someone. But the power doesn't even make a dent. Fixing that nightmare is just impossible. Gron figures out the villain's magic fused their souls together, meaning there's no way to separate them now. Pure rage takes over the kid as he stares down the Lord's complete madness. Soon enough, the second-in-command comes back and tosses the little redhead to the floor without an ounce of pity. From a distance, the hero watches the brute force the girl to show off her neck mark. Shaking like a leaf, Hina lifts her head and grabs the choker, displaying a Roman numeral. And that's where it gets crazy. It's the exact same mark he has on his own body. Growling in anger, the boss complains about the massive power she's stubbornly holding back. Swallowing her tears, she gently places some flowers right on his head. Flashing a broken smile, she confesses how scared she is of vanishing and never seeing her dad again, completely ignoring the affection. He just glares at her with these deadly red eyes. He just barks at her to shut up and clean the mess to prove she's actually useful. Clenching her tiny hands in pain, Hina swallows hard and follows the order. In the blink of an eye, the girl's wild energy completely wrecks the entire room. Staring at the chaos, she looks dead at the pieces of that terrifying wall without even blinking. The collared girl doesn't drop a single tear, totally ignoring the nightmare she just unleashed. Up close, our MC is frozen stiff, watching the absurd amount of power she just dropped. And just like that, everything changed. Her twisted skill awakens, the day of happiness. This sinister red mist sprouts right out of her back, looking exactly like tentacles. Growing massive, the whole thing morphs into this giant monster that sends chills down your spine. Gron's jaw is on the floor, completely terrified by the girl's destructive power. Figuring it out quick, he sees that mark is actually a cursed parasite that swallows souls whole. Floating over Gier, the creepy beast shadows him and makes the guy look like a tiny ant. Losing total control, the little girl screams out, begging for her daddy to hold her. Remembering Barnier's tip about jamming a specific item into the beast to make it back off, you can instantly spot a giant stone spike already lodged right into the creature's back. Out of pure desperation, the big boss grabs the object with both hands. Straining with all his might, he shoves the thing deeper into the beast. And that's where it gets crazy. The stake sinks straight into little Hina's back. Suddenly, all that dark energy gets sucked right back into the girl's body. Drained to the bone, both of them collapse, leaving our MC speechless at the intense scene. Watching from the shadows, the kid realizes he needs a solid plan to rescue Hina from this mess. A voice echoes in his head, but he makes it crystal clear he doesn't want the girl to repeat the exact same mistakes he made back in his own past. Miles away, the commander reads the notice and figures out she's got to take on Gier all by herself. She tells the princess they really need to grind if they want to prove their worth. Right after, the warrior writes up a recommendation for the king, locking in a solid reward. Beyond grateful, the royal says thanks while the guard is already celebrating his new clout with the king. Dreaming big, the guards start planning to buy a new house and even level up to nobility, but the boss shuts them down, warning that planning for the end of the war brings pure bad luck. That sends chills down all 3 of their spines, making them cover their mouths, terrified of jinxing it. Watching this go down, the princess and the commander just crack up at their clueless expressions. Meanwhile, Lord Matthias is playing chess, mapping out the next moves for his master plan. The villain analyzes how his troops are steadily multiplying while hiding out in Nunu City. He also sets his sights on the Princess of Ania, knowing she'll fall into his trap sooner or later. Still, pure rage kicks in when he remembers the guy who sold him the brute just vanished off the map. Flashing back one here, we get a look at the ancient ruins of Bailu City. A servant questions if the Demon King will even show up, but Matthias guarantees the guy keeps his word. Out of nowhere, this bizarre sphere slowly rolls right up to the Lord's feet. Super confused, he checks out the object before staring into the pitch-black room. Deep in the shadows, an imposing figure on a throne orders someone to fetch what dropped. Without hesitating, Matthias scoops the item up and walks straight toward that king. He notices the boss is injured, mentioning that only his magic can attach a fresh arm on him. Smirking, the lord reveals the sphere is holding the former hero's arm, fully ready to go. But the leader rejects the offer on the spot, purely disgusted by the idea of using anything from that guy. That rejection leaves the fancy dude dead silent, trying to process the massive letdown. Swallowing his pride, he promises to find another piece, while securing a favor for the future. Back in the present, the lord moves a chess piece forward, thanking the human king for not wiping everyone out. The memory shows the new king declaring peace and pardoning the old nobles from the empire. Ice cold, the lord flashes a wicked smile, warning that this game has reached a point of no return. Down in the basement, little Hina keeps herself busy drawing stick figures on the wall. She flashes the sweetest smile ever and cheers happily when she sees our boy returned. Our hero steps into the cell, fully wrapped in his usual dark smoke. Staring blankly, he looks like he's stuck in another dimension, just spaced out. It's all because his focus locked right onto that crooked drawing of three people holding hands. Bubbling with joy, the little girl asks if he brought back a cool story from the outside world. The kid sits down and asks about Bailu, and she remembers it as the wealthiest city made of white stone. At that moment, our boy zones out again, sinking deep into an ocean of old memories. Playing it cool, he mentions he just remembered a story about a kid who's a lot like her. We jump 33 years into the past, landing smack in the middle of the famous Bailu. Through these aerial shots, he narrates that his very first memory in life is the autumn rain. That heavy storm poured down mercilessly, washing over the stone streets and all the city rooftops. Despite the pouring rain, the sidewalks were always packed in the middle of all that wealth. He mentions being born around this time, while the camera focuses on a sad little vase sitting on a windowsill. Reliving the past, he remembers his mom with purple hands from dyeing all those sweaty clothes. Through that tiny old window, the little guy would peek out at the busy streets with pure innocence. Meanwhile, his old man was coughing his lungs out thanks to the heavy smoke from the forge. The worst part is they could hear the gossips outside calling the kid a mute and a burden. Hearing that infuriated his dad, who swore his innocent son just had a slight speech delay. Left with zero options, the parents struggled hard under the crazy high taxes funding the war. Deeply heartbroken, his mom couldn't see a way out, while his dad just wanted to take it one day at a time. But the little guy realized things were tough and flashed them the brightest smile ever. Rushing over to them, the kid would hug their legs just to bring a tiny bit of joy. That melted the old man's heart, rubbing his son's head with pure affection. Then his mom would hand over a few counted coins, asking him to hunt down the cheapest bread. On the streets, everyone was whispering about Haya's rebellion, gathering huge crowds nearby. Heading back from the shop, the kid crossed a rainy alley, clinging to the bread he bought. A weird sound of metal hitting the wall makes our boy freeze dead in his tracks. Curious, he peeks around and spots a lonely rich kid throwing coins at the brick wall out of sheer boredom. He just stands there frozen, watching this bizarre scene of the wealthy boy wasting time. Gripping his treasure tight, he crushes the bag of bread against his chest so the rain won't ruin it. Soon enough, the noble glares at the boy, wondering what he wants while clearly looking hungry. Feeling bad for the guy, our boy flashes a massive smile and offers up his own piece of bread. By holding out that soggy loaf, he shows off one of the greatest acts of kindness possible. Completely speechless, the rich kid takes the food and stares at the ground without saying a single word. Without missing a beat, the boy turns his back and walks away, leaving the wealthy kid to process it all. That noble figure just watches our MC fade out of sight into the pouring rain. Then, out of nowhere, two scumbags corner the little guy, demanding all his spare change. But the rich kid steps up to kill the mood, disgusted that grown men are targeting a poor boy. Using his own body as a shield, the noble trashes the two thieves and calls them way out of line. The trashy duo just bursts out laughing, warning him that in the slums the strongest rules. Instantly, the rich kid fires back with disgust, claiming that kind of rule belongs to wild animals. He raises his voice, declaring his dad taught him that protecting the weak is how real society works. Losing patience with the lecture, one of the punks pulls a blade and tells him to shut his mouth. Furious, the noble activates his cracked power mark and shifts the entire pressure of the alley. Both thieves turn pale with terror, nearly having a heart attack from that overwhelming force. In a flash, that heavy energy scares the brutes off, sending them running away in pure panic. Our mini-hero's jaw drops straight to the floor, stunned by the wild magic he just witnessed. With a smirk, the wealthy boy waves off any thanks, saying that protecting people is a noble's duty. Playing it cool, he mentions that humble little snack already counts as his payment. Meanwhile, the storm up above kept washing over the cold stone streets without taking a single break. From that day on, the two became street brothers, splitting their snacks right in the pouring rain. Whenever winter hit, their guarantee of fun was having massive snowball fights in the fresh powder. Naturally, when spring rolled around, they would spend endless hours running across the fields playing ball. During the hot summer, the partners would just chill by the water, taking it easy. Sometime later, on another stormy day, the duo is seen racing each other and splashing through puddles. Panting from exhaustion, the noble questions what kind of surprise demands all this sprinting. Both friends freeze in a crowded square, staring at this gloomy gallows right in the center. Clearly uncomfortable, the fancy kid says he'd much rather be chilling with a book in the library. But the MC ignores his complaints and points at the stage, telling his buddy not to miss the show. Right as on platform, a guilty man waits for his final sentence after being charged with a string of robberies. And that's where it gets crazy. The trapdoor swings open and the guy struggles desperately against his fate. That terrifying sight just radiates agony, showcasing the man's pointless battle at the very end. The wild part is watching our boy view this dark punishment with a twisted little smirk on his face. Horrified, the rich kid covers his mouth and goes into pure shock at the sheer cruelty of it. He just can't stomach it, turning his back and leaning against the wall, feeling super sick. Deeply shaken, he begs our boy to promise they'll never ever come back to this place. Walking away, the MC finds those laws way too harsh and swears he's gonna change it all someday. Meanwhile, the heavy rain perfectly highlights the massive gap between the castle's luxury and the street's misery. Out of nowhere, a nearby wall starts cracking open like something is trying to force its way out. Reaching to the gap, a creepy hand emerges, gripping a heavily detailed sphere. Our boy grabs the item, and his buddy heads off to dinner, promising to hang out tomorrow. On his way back, he overhears rumors that the guards are locking up anyone helping the rebellion. Meanwhile, the wealthy kid reaches his mansion and instantly gets a warning from the butler about his dad. His old man storms in, delivering a heavy scolding, completely furious about him slacking on his studies. Dead serious, the judge reminds him he's the heir and shouldn't be hanging around street rats, forcing his son to memorize a massive law book. The guy officially grounds the youngster from leaving the house. Without wasting time, the old man calls for his carriage to attend an urgent council meeting. Far from there, that mysterious sphere gets tossed up into the air amidst the pouring rain. Ji-won absent-mindedly plays with the object on the street, having a blast despite the awful weather, but his peace shatters when a guard violently shoves him, ordering the kid to get out of the way. That impact knocks the poor guy down instantly, sending the item rolling far away. Covered in mud, the boy crawls as fast as he can to rescue his new toy, but no one saw that coming. The moment he looks up, his whole world stops and sheer terror takes over. A squad of guards shows up, arresting people left and right, accusing the crowd of aiding the rebels. Heartbreakingly, the guards suddenly snatch the kid's parents while he can only burst into tears. Violence breaks out all over the place, and the little guy watches the nightmare unfold in total shock. Tossing them both into a wagon, he tries to run after them but trips and loses his item. Back at the meeting, the nobles demand a harsh penalty and press the judge for his final call. The rich kid's dad looks conflicted, fully aware that giving 100 people the final sentence is heavy stuff. Dead silent, he feels the crushing weight of that brutal decision resting right on his shoulders. Yet deep down in his heart, the guy truly believes there is no other way out of this mess. He figures the rebellion has to be crushed, otherwise the war is gonna wipe everything off the map. Making up his mind, he chooses the lesser evil and orders dozens of people to face the ultimate price. In the middle of all that chaos, the kid sprints like a maniac just to get close to the platform. Tragically, the poor boy watches through his tears as his parents face their final sentence. Our boy goes into full panic mode, trying to use his own tiny body to prop them up. Grabbing both their legs with all his might, he struggles to lift that brutal weight off them. From a distance, the guards just stand around laughing at the tragedy without lifting a single finger. Another soldier walks up, and the captain reveals they actually placed bets on how long the kid will last. Cold as ice, they guess half a day or even claim he won't make it past 2 hours. Far away from the square, the rich kid tries to study while the storm aggressively batters his window. Worried about the weather outside, the youngster points out that the storm is only getting worse. Then the butler chimes in, saying his dad's orders are strict. He stays locked in until his homework is done. The boy puts his foot down and stands up, swearing he's got this awful gut feeling that something's wrong. Without a second thought, the servant steps right in front of him and blocks the bedroom door entirely. Keeping a perfectly straight face, the butler lies through his teeth, claiming everything is fine outside. He barely cracks the door open, keeping up the bluff that it's nothing more than heavy rain. Cutting back to the city, the camera reminds us that autumn in Bailu was just relentlessly dark. Jilong stretches on his tiptoes, doing the impossible to hold up his parents' weight. Completely exhausted, the boy struggles through pure agony so he won't drop their legs. At that moment, the focus shifts to his mom and dad's faces, who are already starting to fade out. Whispering softly, they beg their little boy to let go and stop sacrificing himself for their sake. With pure pain in their eyes, they call out Julong's name and plead for him to just drop them. Pushed past his limits, the kid's body gives out and his muscles start failing hard. Slipping on that wet wood, his footing just vanishes right from under him. He almost drops straight down to the ground. Finding one last spark of willpower, the boy manages to secure his tiptoes again. Sadly, gravity wins the tug of war, sending him crashing into a filthy puddle. Bawling his eyes out, the little guy just stares wide-eyed in pure despair. With a heavy heart, he's forced to look at his parents who have already passed on. Walking right up, one of the guards spits his words and calls the boy useless to his face. The cruel scumbag actually mocks him for almost winning the weekly bet. Right then, this bizarre aura flares up around the kid as the guard shoos him away. Without missing a beat, our little guy reaches up and firmly locks onto the soldier's wrist. Furious, the grown man barks at the brat to get his filthy hands off him right now. Screaming at the top of his lungs, he tries to pull away while a yellow light wraps around the boy. And just like that, everything changed. The boy lunges out of nowhere and strikes the guy. Completely stunned, the rest of the squad drops their jaws, unable to process the madness. Drawing their weapons in a flash, the troops charge at the child looking for a fight. But the kid tosses the first guy to the dirt and snatches the blade right out of his hand. Showing zero mercy, a massive brute charges in, swinging a warhammer to finish the job. That heavy blow lands clean, making our hero taste defeat right on the spot. Sent flying by the massive strike, the boy drops his weapon and tumbles through the mud. Lying flat on his back, he stares at the shadow of the tragedy that just broke his family. Beaten to a pulp, the little guy glares at his enemies with cold, lifeless eyes. Right then, three cocky archers ready their bows and aim directly at the kid's chest. Gritting his teeth through the pain, Gilong makes it crystal clear he's not backing down. Out of pure survival instinct, he rolls to the side and dodges the first volley of arrows, still catching 2 shots to his leg and back. The tiny warrior just keeps on running. Ducking into a dark alley, our boy finally slips out of sight from those trash guards. Furious, the guys foam at the mouth and split up to hunt the runaway through the slums. Pouring down hard, the rain washes over the streets of a city, drowning in misery. He limps heavily, using the alley walls for support so he doesn't collapse on the spot. Down on the path, a practically skeletal man groans in pain and begs for some help. Looking up, the poor soul pleads for the boy to just end his suffering once and for all. Jilong freezes in his tracks, hearing a bizarre voice in his head telling him to free the old man. Whispering in his ear, the entity claims protecting the weak is the rule and true power stems from blood. Super confused, the kid asks who's talking and learns it's the light of his own destiny. Forcing the boy's hand toward the beggar, the shadow triggers a wildly bizarre action right there. This is where it gets good. A switch flips in his head, and our hero's mind changes forever. Swearing it doesn't control his body, the mental demon listens to the kid cry and deny everything. The voice pushes him to grow up, asking if he really wants to be a stepping stone like his parents. Wondering if he was born to be a monster, he finds out he's the actual storm itself. Then the parasite pushes all the right buttons, asking if he wants to become truly indestructible, trading his pure gaze for pure malice. He agrees to pull the strings of his own destiny. The squad keeps up the search, walking through the slums completely disgusted and scared of catching diseases. Spotting the faded beggar in the alley, one of the guys realizes something is super off. With his blade drawn on pure reflex, the guard gulps and braces himself for a fight. Looking over his shoulder, a bizarre scene freezes the man's heart instantly. The alley floor is just covered in dropped guards, sending the guy into a complete panic. Sneaking right up behind him, the kid drops a warning: "Leave a like or you're next."